A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Yes, it's the Goldbergs. Hello there. Are you a member of our club?
Sure, I joined months ago.
Well, and this lady with you, are you a member?
Certainly. Mrs. Smith got me to join.
Fine. Oh, there's another lady heading this way. How do you do, madam? Are you a member?
Member of what?
Why, a member of the I'm Glad I Did Club.
Well, what kind of a club is that? Well, haven't you heard? It's for all of us ladies who started using new dyes for our washing. Well, what does?
Why, Daz is a new kind of soap.
That's right. It's a wonderful new kind of granulated soap. There's never been any soap cut like Daz before.
Oh.
Captain Dan was putting it out, and it's marvelous.
You bet Daz is marvelous. Why, we've got letters by the bushel from ladies telling how glad they are they tried Daz.
Sure, that makes us all members of the I'm Glad I Did Club. Oh. But tell me, what's so wonderful about this new Daz?
Why, Daz does everything.
Yes, Daz does all three kinds of wash. Sure, towels, work shirts, to pretty colored rayon clips. Uh-huh. You don't mean you can use this same Daz for colored rayons and for dirty work clothes, too?
Of course. Daz is wonderfully safe for rayons and fussy colored washables. In fact,
yes, Daz is lots safer for those nice colors than any other leading granulated laundry soap. And yet it gets my husband's work suit clean without any hard scrubbing either. But what about the white pieces?
oh, Daz is a whiz for whiteness. Why,
You bet. Why, no soap I ever use can beat Daz for turning out snowy white washes. Well, I declare.
just you try, Daz, and then you'll...
Yes, and then you'll be joining the I'm Glad I Did Club, too. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Rogers. Did you want to say something?
Well, all that's left for me to say to all you listening is just try Daz for yourself and see how different it is. Remember, Daz is a really new kind of granulated soap, not just a new improvement of an old soap. Look for that big red and white box with the name D-U-Z, Daz, and next wash day, let Daz do everything. And now, the Goldbergs. Molly has been crossed again and again by the obstinacy of Orion and Mr. Way, because Molly feels that she can help them, that she knows what's right for them, and she knows that their intended marriage is wrong. Molly's been arranging with Way's former wife to prevent the marriage, Molly for good reasons, Mrs. Way for selfish ones. But at last, Jake rebelled against all the maneuvering. He wants it stopped. He said it very loud, and now more softly. Listen.
Molly, dear, leave the dishes. Let me talk to you.
Yes, dear.
Sit down.
Yes, dear.
If I speak to you gently and quietly, will you listen to me?
Why not? Then I always listen to you.
That's not the point at the moment. The point is, will you listen to me now?
I'll listen.
Then stop already trying to make the world over. Stop already appointing yourself state assistant.
So, darling, I only
I
want...
know, Molly. I know all your reasons by heart. I can recite them in my dreams. Your reasons are good. Nobody says not. If there were more people like you, the world would be a paradise. But why don't you want to learn that people don't want a paradise on earth? That's for the hereafter, not for the here.
Oh, thank you.
If Orion made up her mind to marry Mr. Way and not Dr. Cater, right or wrong, it's her decision. Let her have the right to be wrong. If Mr. Way don't want any further to do with his former wife, is that your concern? If Mrs. Way is trying to avenge herself on Mr. Way, did you take advantage of it? Because you see a way to right or wrong? I mean, do you see what I mean, sweetheart?
Yes, dear.
Then do something.
Huh?
Think of me, Sunny, Rosie. That's plenty. We three are plenty for you. You're not so easy. Me especially.
You're a darling.
Oh, I would be a darling, Molly. Believe me, you and I would never have a crisis between us if you would only...
Not Nick.
Yes, not me. Is that so hard?
Mm-hmm.
Then You promise?
I'll try.
Try hard.
Don't I always?
Not enough.
That helps me.
If you'll only let me. Really? We're all going to the movies. Help Mama with the dishes.
It's all right, I'll just wash them and I'll let them dribble off. You get dressed.
Do I have to change too?
Just straighten up.
Don't do it, Molly.
Rosalie, to ask Corey on the...
Molly?
I just said.
All right.
Look how you just had your supper. Let me get some little biscuits, please. Oh, don't you that I cannot be bothered about? Your black sweater, look in my closet. Look in my closet. What is it? Where did you go? Yes? Did you see my paper net better? The paper net? The paper net, Sammy was yesterday. Sammy? Yes? Did you talk about this paper net?
Okay, I got it.
Yes, Sammy?
Ma, Papa just told me.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mix it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, I'm not trying to give you any advice or anything. I know why you do what you do. About Oriana, I mean, and all that, but it makes Papa feel so bad, and it makes for so much trouble.
I know, Sammy, I know.
It's not because we don't appreciate what you're trying to do. We do. I guess one of the things I like best in you is the way you're always trying to help people, even when the people aren't your own family. But sometimes, well, like this time, nobody can do anything. It's gone too far. And the way Papa feels,
What can be done, Sammy, I wouldn't try to do.
Yeah, well, if you'd only make Papa feel that you were through trying, because no matter how hard hits are, you're through anyway. Oriana's going to marry Mr. Wayne no matter what anyone does.
Yeah, so that's the way. Go, get Papa his neck. You take it.
Yeah, I will, Ma. Ma, Papa's more important than Oriana and Way and his former wife and Kay. They're rolled up into one.
Don't I know that? And don't tell me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. How did you give it to her? Can't you like it this way? Well, this mixed to it. What is it, Evelyn? I tell Orion to come to the movies with us. Do they want to go? No, and it'll do her good. It'll take her mind off all this stuff. No, I'll fix it. Now, why don't you leave the dishes? You'll be late and then Papa's bring me down my sport coat. I'll be ready in the jiffy. You have to come here. My hair takes me how long? Can I bring the pocketbook? If Papa's with me, whether I need a pocketbook. No, you could count. I'll see you let me go. No, I don't like my face to you. Yes, sir, it'll be very nice to me to be all right. I don't know. Yes, in a minute. I am. But, Mama, darling, you're not going to do anything anymore. What? I mean about Mr. and Mrs. Wayne and Orion. You tried to do all you could, and you promised Papa, so people have to make their own mistakes. Now that's how life is. The whole history of the world has these people. Everybody has to go through things themselves to learn, so what can you do now? If Orion marries Mr. Wade, so then it was a mistake, and that's it. All right, dear. I aren't going to do anything? Oh, dear. I'll ask you for a towel. I forgot. So go get Papa a towel. I will, dear. I will.
Oh, darling. I don't want to come into the middle of the newsreader.
You wouldn't, dear. You wouldn't. Mrs. Wade? Oh, so there. Mrs. Wade. And Mrs. Wade, would you mind stepping into my pie? What?
Who came in?
What, dear?
Nothing.
Mrs. Webb, will you just step into my car and I'll be with you momentarily. The folks are going to the movies and I'll be with you in a minute. Mrs. Webb, just go into my car, dear, please.
Are you ready, Molly?
You want me to go, sir?
Well?
One lumbago, all this lumbago. I saw your features in the night. Would you believe it?
You bet for it. So let me rob you.
When you come back, dear.
What do you mean, come back? Who is going?
Oh, I told you one night.
The movies are not running away.
It's the Western of you like a Western.
So I'll see these things. A lot of difference it makes.
Oh, the kids may be disappointed.
So Rosie and Sonny will go.
Rosie, bring my coat.
You're not going with your bag.
I'll go.
Just because I
I
don't...
don't want to hurt. Bring my coat.
You're not going.
You're so right. You can do better. Mama, I'm talking about...
Can you imagine a woman? Mama's not going.
Why, what's the matter, Ma?
Mama don't feel well.
Oh, then we oughtn't to go.
Mama, darling, I want you to go. I want you to go. If you don't go, then I'll go.
Start walking, Rosie. Come
I
on.
won't go with Mama.
Come on, it's not so important.
Mom, why don't you go with him? I'll do it tomorrow. I'll be right in, Mrs. Ray.
Come. Dennis. Rosie. If Mama hasn't Mrs. Ray, then there's nobody else for her lumbago.
And so Jake is ready to storm and raise the warning signal. And all Molly's promises go by the board now that Mrs. Way has come to see her. But Margaret's troubles bring trouble to Molly. You know, whenever I hear you ladies say you hate to wash dishes, I figure it's because you've been struggling with old-fashioned halfway soap. Yeah, you're either using a mild bar soap that doesn't give you real speed, or else you're using a strong granulated soap that's short-arm gentleness to your hands. But there's none of this halfway business when you use new Dove, that brand new kind of granulated soap. Dove does everything in your wash, and it has everything you want for dishes, too, from whirlwind speed to extra gentleness for your hands. Yes, your hands will come out of the dish pan feeling beautifully soft and smooth. Actually, Dove is far safer for your hands than any other leading granulated laundry soap. Yet Dove can't be beat by any other soap for speedy dishwashing. It cuts even tough roasting pan grease without any hard scouring. Remember, you can see the difference in Dove right in the start. So try Dove today. It has everything for dishes. And be sure to listen to the next episode of the Goldbergs. Tomorrow, Jake delivers a final warning, and then adds 2 more as the trouble starts adding up. This is Bill Rogers wishing you good day for Procter & wishing you good day for Procter & Gamble, makers of Dove, the new kind of granulated soap for all 3 kinds of wash.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to accident investigation, felony detail. In the early hours of the morning, a woman pedestrian is struck down by a hit-and-run driver. Your job, find him.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke king-size Fatima. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. And that's why Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. So, enjoy Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles, traveled step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, September 4th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of traffic division. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Sullivan, Commander AID. My name's Friday. It was 12:45 a.m. when I got to the second floor at 123 South Figueroa Street. Accident investigation. The Record Bureau. Hi, Wanda.
Hi. Sergeant Romero come back with you? I got a phone message for him.
So he's over at Georgia Street. He'll be back in a couple of minutes. You got time to take a 15-7?
Sure.
I got some additional information on a hit-and-run felony.
All right.
Pretty warm up here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Coffee over there if you want it.
No thanks.
All right, officer's memo. Subject?
Investigation of hit-run felony. ER number 467923. Location, 7th and Carondelet Streets. It's Carondelet.
Mm-hmm.
September 3rd, 11:15 p.m.
Division reporting, AID. Division of occurrence?
Central. Central.
Date and time occurred, September 3rd, 11:15 p.m. Location of occurrence, 7th and Carondelet. Just going to run long, Sergeant?
Oh, page and a half.
Go faster in shorthand. I can transcribe it later.
All right. Excuse me. This is for Captain H.W. Sullivan, commanding AID.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, on the above date at 11:20 p.m., the undersigned officers went to the corner of 7th and Carondelet Streets in response to an ambulance follow-up traffic.
Mm-hmm.
On our arrival there... You got any matches, Wanda?
Yeah, here you are.
Okay, thanks. On our arrival there, we were met by 11T. We witnessed ambulance attendants placing an unconscious woman in an ambulance. She appeared to be critically injured. The victim was removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital.
All right.
We then interviewed a man who identified himself as Chester J. Crawford, 540 Reynod Drive. He stated that he was acquainted with the injured woman and that her name was Sheila Gordon, Gordon, 7832.5 7th Street. Crawford told us that he was taking her home from a dance. And they arrived at the intersection of 7th and Carondelet Streets at approximately 11:15 p.m.
11:15.
Okay?
Yeah.
Crawford further stated that while he and Sheila Gordon attempted to cross the intersection, an automobile headed west on 7th Street went through the red traffic light.
Right.
Did you read that last part back?
Attempted to cross the intersection. An automobile headed west on 7th Street went through the red traffic light.
Okay. Crawford told us that he jumped out of the path of the car and tried to pull Miss Gordon with him. He said that the car struck her down without slowing down, continued out 7th Street, and disappeared.
Wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And disappeared. Okay.
Crawford stated the hit-and-run car was either a Dodge or a Plymouth, but it could have been either last year's model or this year's. He described the car... That's too fast, boy?
That's all right.
He described the car as either light blue in color or bluish green. Said that he failed to get the entire license number, but that the last three numbers on the rear plate were either 804 or 304.
804 or 304.
That's right.
Okay.
Fine. Crawford said he made an attempt to follow the hit-run car, but that he was unable to obtain transportation. He stated he then ran to a phone at the Corsev Bar and Grill.
Spell that?
What?
Corsev.
Oh, Corsev. That's at 7th and Carondelet, and called the police. And the undersigned officers then obtained Crawford's full name, address, phone number, and proceeded to question residents in the neighborhood and were unable to locate any other witnesses besides Crawford.
Okay.
Hi. How'd you do?
Oh, so that's about all. Doctor says we won't be able to talk to her for at least a couple of days, maybe not at all.
What's your chances?
50-50 if she's heavy on luck. 3 broken ribs, brain concussion, internal injury.
What'd Lee Jones have to say?
Is that all the report, Sergeant?
Oh, yeah, Wanda. We'll have the rest for you a little later. Thank you.
Okay. I'll type this much up as soon as I can.
Thanks.
Sure.
What'd Lee Jones have to say?
Nothing. He and Fincher went over the area for an hour. No broken glass from headlights at the PI. No tire impressions worth anything.
No physical evidence.
Where does it leave us?
With a half-dead girl and no suspects.
What do you think, Joe?
I don't know. It's a sour one.
Any kickback on the teletype yet?
No.
That guy she was with, Crawford, not too much help. Looked a little nearsighted to me.
He saw well enough to get out of the way of that car.
You got the notes. How much did he give us?
Let's see. I got it here in the book. The car was either a Dodge or a Plymouth, late model. Color, either light blue or blue-green. The last three numbers on the license plate were 804 or 304.
It's a big field to pick from.
That's the only lead we own.
You can call it that, yeah.
Well, I guess we better talk to DMV, get the dope on all cars fitting that description that Crawford gave us.
It's going to be a hard trip. At least 3,000 cars to track down.
Probably closer to 4.
What do we do for help?
We can ask the captain in the morning.
I'll get it. Bracket Bureau, Romero. Get it. Yeah, we'll bring him right over. Yeah, bye. Lee Jones again.
Yeah?
Says he wants the clothes Sheila Gordon was wearing at the time of the accident. He figures when she got hit, her clothes must have left fabric marks on the front of the car.
It might work. There's only one trouble.
What's that?
You can paint off fabric marks. Well, it's a long list. Let's take it from the top.
Yeah.
Find the car. Tuesday, September the 5th. We called Mark Benson at DMV and asked for full information on all vehicles fitting the general description of the hit-run car. We went back and talked to the only witness to the hit-and-run, the victim's boyfriend, Chester Crawford. He could add nothing to what he had already told us. There was no response to the local teletype and the all points that were sent out the night before. Garages, auto repair, and paint shops throughout the city were also alerted. Meantime, at General Hospital, the victim, Sheila Gordon, was still close to death. The search for the hit-run car went on. 2 days passed. Thursday, September 7th, the information we requested from DMV was being checked out and compiled. Ben and I met with Captain Sullivan.
That's the last of them, Skipper. All the cars in this area that fit the general description of the one we're after.
You just get it?
Yeah.
How many cars did they list?
4,620.
Even more than you expected, eh?
Yeah.
No chance at all of narrowing it down?
None that we can see, no.
Terrific order.
Well, we tried to figure it from every angle. Now we can do it 2 ways.
Yeah?
We keep the alert on for the hit-run car around the divisions, all the garages in town, the auto repair shops. In other words, we can wait it out. Maybe we'll get the guy, maybe not.
Yeah?
Or we can check out every one of the cars on this list and the registered owners.
Well, the first way isn't going to do the job. We know that. 4,600 cars. How much help will you need?
About 30, 40 men.
How long?
A couple of weeks, maybe more.
All right. I think I can get them from Metro Division. When do you want to start?
First thing tomorrow.
Okay, I'll set it up.
All right, Skipper. Thank you.
Excuse me, Joe. There's a lady out here to see you.
Okay, thanks. We'll check you in the morning, Skipper.
Right.
That's her over there.
Thank you.
My name's Friday, ma'am. This is Sergeant Romero.
How do you do? I'm Dora Lytell, Sergeant. I'm Sheila Gordon's landlady, the girl in the accident.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Crawford, he was with Sheila that night. He told me about you, and he said he thought you might be able to help.
How do you mean?
Well, it's a long story. See, when Sheila Gordon first came to live at my rooming house, she was a good girl like the rest. Lately, well, her being sick now and all, I don't like to say it.
Yeah?
Well, frankly, last few months before the accident, Sheila just went bad completely.
I don't think I follow you, ma'am.
Oh, you know, carousing, all kinds of men, visitors, had a different man in her apartment every night.
Well, we're investigating a hit-run case, ma'am.
Sheila gets out of the hospital. We could talk about her when she's sick like this, but when she's all right, I don't want her back in my rooming house.
I'm afraid that's none of our business either, ma'am.
But if you could talk to Sheila, persuade her to move from my house, I don't want any wrangle with the rental board again. Couldn't you talk to her?
I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do, ma'am. You better talk to her yourself.
It'll just be another row like the last time. Shameless woman. I don't want Sheila Gordon back in my house. I'll go to that hospital myself and tell her.
She's a pretty sick girl.
It's not my fault. Go right over to that hospital and tell her what I think of her.
She's hurt pretty bad.
So am I. She's hurt me. What's the difference?
You haven't been run over by a car. Next morning, Sergeants Reed and McLennan, Ben and myself joined the 40 men from Metropolitan Division who had started checking out the first of the 4,620 suspected cars. The detail was broken down into teams, and each team was handed a list containing the names of 100 registered car owners. It was a long job and a dull one. Dozens of people weren't at home when we called. We had to rig up a system of checkbacks for each one of these. Some cars had changed hands 2 and 3 times. That meant more checking. By the end of the second week, we'd gone through more than half of the 4,600 names on the list. By the end of the 4th week, we had less than 1,000 to go. At the General Hospital, the victim, Sheila Gordon, was pronounced out of danger and recovering. We questioned her, but all she could tell us was that she thought the hit-and-run car was a dark color. The search went on. Monday, October 6th. Ben and I spent a 10-hour day checking a list of car owners south of town. It was 6:35 p.m. when we got back to the office.
Hi.
Hi, Reed. How'd you do today?
Fair. Looks like we got one.
What do you mean?
Guy's name is Ralph Angelo. Let's see. 8690 Backerley Road. Checked him out early this morning. First call.
What'd you get?
One's a late model Plymouth, light blue. License number, there it is, 17 Arthur 2804. Wasn't home. Talked to his wife.
Yeah?
She said the car's been sitting home in the garage for the past month. Husband won't drive it.
What's the story?
Told her there was something wrong with it. He was going to trade it in. McLennan and I tried it. Car's in first-class shape.
What about the front end of the car?
Pretty clean. One of the bars in the radiator grill slightly bent. Soft crease on the hood, another one in the right fender.
Did you bring the car in?
Yeah. Crown Eyes been working on it since lunch down in the garage.
Anything else?
Found a gas receipt in the glove compartment, dated September 3rd, night of the accident.
Where's Angelo now?
Santa Barbara, business trip. Due home tonight about 10. McLennan and I'll pick him up then. See what he's got to say.
That sounds good. How many possibilities does that make, Joe? Well, let me see. Out of 3,700 we've checked, about 4 good ones. I'll get that. Accident investigation, Friday.
Hi, Joe. This is Lee Jones.
Yeah, Lee.
Just finished checking the Plymouth Reed and McLennan brought in.
You find anything?
Fabric prints on the front bumper and the hood.
Yeah?
Indentation of soft object on hood and right front fender. Something else on that fender.
What's that?
Set of lip impressions.
What's it mean?
We found the car. Only one job left.
Yeah?
Find the driver.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation, presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of attorney R. Michael Charters, member of the New York Bar. And this is his actual signed statement.
Lawyers are always working against time. Long hours mean smoking more, and that's why I prefer extra mild Fatimas. I recommend them to anyone who likes a king-size cigarette. In my opinion, it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And more smokers are discovering this every day. Actual figures show Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy Fatima yourself.
The long cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
Monday, October 6th, 10 p.m. Suspect Ralph Angelo was picked up at his home by investigating officers and brought downtown to the interrogation room. Sergeants Reed and McLennan, Ben and myself questioned him for 3 hours. At 1:30 a.m., we took Angelo to the county jail where he was booked on suspicion of 501 vehicle code, hit-and-run felony. The next morning, we obtained a warrant from the district attorney's office, and later that day, Ralph Angelo was arraigned in Municipal Court Division 7. The date was set for his preliminary hearing in Municipal Court. Sheila Gordon recovered from her injuries and was released from the General Hospital. On October 10th, the preliminary hearing was held. Sheila Gordon was on the stand most of the morning. After the noon recess, I was called to testify.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give pending in this case be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
State your name.
Joe Friday.
Be seated. State your name, please.
Joe Friday.
Your address.
4656 Collis Avenue.
Your occupation.
I'm a police officer in and for the city of Los Angeles.
Are you one of the investigating officers assigned to this case?
I am.
Did you have a conversation with the defendant regarding this case?
I did.
Where?
In the traffic division at 123 South Figueroa Street.
Who's present?
The defendant, Sergeants McLennan, Reed, Romero, and myself.
Were the statements made by the defendant free and voluntary?
They were.
Were there any promise of immunity or reward or the use of force or violence inducing to make the statement?
No, there was not.
Tell the court the extent of the conversation at that time.
Well, first of all, I asked him if he was the registered owner of a 1948 Plymouth automobile, California license number 17 Arthur 2804. He admitted that he was. And then I asked him if he was driving that car on the night of September 3rd. He said he was, but that he did not drive anywhere near the location of the hit-and-run felony that night at 7th and Carondelet Street.
Did the defendant tell you where he drove his car that night?
No, sir.
You asked the defendant where he drove his car that night of September 3rd?
Yes, I did.
And what did he answer?
Well, he said, it's none of your business.
Did you persist in this line of questioning?
Yes, I did.
The defendant continued to refuse to give you the information?
That's right.
Did the defendant state where he was on the night of September 3rd, between 10 p.m. and midnight?
He refused to tell us.
You advised the defendant at that time that his car had been impounded for investigation?
That's right.
Did you advise him that several points of incriminating evidence had been found in the car?
Yes, we did.
And what did he say in answer?
Well, he said, you can't prove a thing. I wasn't near the place. You can't prove a thing.
Was that the extent of the conversation between you and the defendant?
It was.
Thank you, that's all.
Counsel for defense?
No questions, Your Honor.
Leland Jones, come to stand.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give pending this case be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
State your name.
Lee Jones.
Please state it.
Your occupation?
I'm a police officer in and for the city of Los Angeles.
What particular detail are you assigned to?
I'm a lieutenant in charge of the police crime laboratory.
Well, counsel for defense stipulate the witness is a qualified forensic chemist?
So stipulated.
Mr. Jones, you are the commander in charge of the police department's scientific investigation division. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Jones, I will show you a photograph of an automobile. California license number 17A2804 to be marked People's Exhibit C. Have you ever seen this car before?
I have.
Where and when did you see it, please?
I saw it at the Traffic Division Garage, 123 South Figueroa Street, Monday, October 6th this year.
Did you make an examination of this car at that time?
I did.
What did the examination consist of? And what were your findings?
I made a systematic examination of the car using oblique lighting from a 500-watt photo flood lamp and a belt-type reflector. I found the following evidence. On the front bumper of the car, I found fabric marks consisting of 51 threads to the inch. I then took a perpendicular photograph of those marks with a copy camera. Here is a photograph of that portion of the bumper containing those marks.
Now, I wish this photograph be marked People's Exhibit D for identification. You proceed, please, Mr. Jones. What else did you find in your examination of the defendant's car?
I found fabric marks on the cowling of the car, extending back under the hood. These marks were made by fabric having a weave of 38 ribs to the inch. I have here a photograph of those marks.
Thank you. I'm going to ask this photograph to mark People's Exhibit E.
So, Mark.
What else did you find in your examination of the car, Mr. Jones?
I also noted an indentation in the right portion of the car's hood. It had the appearance of having been made by a soft object enclosed in fabric striking the car.
Would a human body struck by a car make such an indentation?
Yes, it would. Here's a photograph I took of that indentation on the defendant's car.
I'm going to ask this photograph to mark as People's Exhibit F.
So marked.
All right, continue, Mr. Jones.
On the top of the right-hand fender of the car, I found a lip imprint in red lipstick. I lifted that print with a piece of cellophane tape, then placed the tape on a plain white card, which I have right here with me.
Thank you. Ask this card to mark People's Exhibit G.
So marked.
Now, Mr. Jones, these pieces of evidence which you found on the defendant's car, did you compare them with other objects?
I did.
Will you please state what comparisons you made and your findings?
Well, in the first place, I find that the fabric marks in People's Exhibit C, taken from the bumper of the car, has the same count per inch as the stockings worn by the victim, Sheila Gordon. Secondly, I found the fabric marks shown in People's Exhibit D from the cowling hood of the car to be the same count per inch as the coat worn by the defendant. I further made a comparison between the lip imprint found on the right fender, as shown in People's Exhibit G, and various exemplars of the victim's lips. She made the exemplars by placing her lips against heavy, stiff white paper. I have those exemplars with me.
That's the remarks, People's Exhibit H.
So marked.
Now, may I ask, how did the lip imprint taken from the defendant's car compare with these sample imprints made by the victim's lips?
I found that there were 17 points of similarity between the two. These points of similarity consist of various small lines or wrinkles which match identically, as may be seen in the photographs.
Jones, do you have an opinion as to the origin of the lip imprint on the defendant's car as shown in People's Exhibit G?
I do.
What is that opinion?
It's my opinion that the lip imprint on the defendant's car, as shown in Exhibit G, was made by the lips of the victim, Sheila Gordon.
With me.
Now, Mr. Jones, we recognize, of course, that you're a qualified forensic chemist. But are you going to set yourself up as an expert on women's lips, too?
Well, I've done some research in that department, too.
Mr. Jones, isn't it possible that any number of lip imprints made by different people would look exactly alike?
No, it is not possible. There are no two things in the world exactly alike. There are no two sets of lip imprints alike.
Well, anyone who's been around at all would know that. That's all, Mr. Jones. Thank you.
Repeat his case, Your Honor.
Counsel for the defense?
We will not offer any defense at this time, Your Honor.
It appears to me that a felony has been committed and reasonable cause to believe that the defendant committed it. The defendant will be held to answer in Superior Court.
Tuesday, November 4th. Suspect Ralph Angelo was arraigned in Superior Court, Department 88, and the date of his trial was set for December 1st. During the weeks preceding the set of the trial, we worked with Lee Jones and the District Attorney's Office preparing the case against Ralph Angelo. 2 days before the trial opened, we had a visit from one of the men from the DA's office, process server. All right, Bert.
Hi. We got trouble.
Yeah?
Sheila Gordon's disappeared.
Wednesday, December 1st, Ralph Angelo's trial opened and Sheila Gordon was called to the stand. She failed to appear. We checked her few known friends in the city. They couldn't help. She had disappeared from her new address and taken everything with her. A bench warrant was issued by Superior Court for Sheila Gordon. The Deputy District Attorney succeeded in having the court grant a delay in order to find the missing girl, in this case, the complaining witness. Meantime, we got out a local broadcast and an APB. We got missing persons detail to help out in the search. Still no sign. Ralph Angelo's lawyer asked the court for dismissal of the hit-and-run felony case because of Sheila Gordon's failure to appear. On December the 8th, the court ruled on the motion.
Regarding the motion by the defense for dismissal of hit-and-run felony charges against Ralph C. Angelo, because of the prosecution's failure to produce the complaining witness, to which Sheila R. Gordon, the court feels it would not serve the interests of justice to continue the case. Case dismissed.
The search for Sheila Gordon went on. Behind us, we had logged 3 solid months of police work, checking and running down more than 4,000 cars. Hours of labor in the crime lab. More hours pounding the pavement, questioning people, checking, rechecking. Without a trial and a conviction, it didn't mean a thing. 3 days before Christmas, we received information that the missing girl was living in a small town south of Los Angeles. Ben and I checked the address.
What was the apartment number?
7A1.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Again.
Yeah? Oh, you two. Come in. Sit down. Make yourself at home. I'm sorry the place is such a mess. A little party earlier tonight. It's messed up.
What about the trial? Why didn't she show?
Come on, sit down. See, I'll tell you what. I'll freshen up a little, put on some makeup.
What about the trial?
I didn't have anything against the guy. I didn't mean to run me down. You wouldn't happen to have a drink on you, would you?
You know better than that. Why didn't you show up at the trial?
I told you I didn't have anything against the guy.
What was it, a payoff?
Look, why don't we go out and get something, then we can come back and have a party.
How much did he give you?
$50. He was awful nice.
You agreed not to show in court.
I didn't have anything against the guy, that's all.
Better get your coat.
Why?
That's what the court wants to know.
You're taking me in. Why? Is there any law against forgiving?
Yeah, when you get paid for it.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On February 3rd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here's the actual report.
From coast to coast, king-size Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Long cigarette smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Long cigarette smokers find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Sheila Gordon was returned to Los Angeles, and a new date was set for the trial of Ralph Angelo. Subsequently, he was tried and found guilty as charged. Angelo was also tried, along with Sheila Gordon, for compounding a felony. They were both convicted and received the sentence as prescribed by law. They are now serving their terms in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
The Halls of Ivy is especially pleasant listening tomorrow on NBC.
When Anthony J. Lyon cashes in on somebody's trouble, it means money for him. For me, it means work. I'm Jeff Regan, the Lyon's private eye.
Here's the kind of program you've been waiting to hear. Hard-boiled action and mystery as told by Jeff Regan, Investigator. So stand by for trouble. Stand by for suspense. Stand by for adventure. In tonight's story, The Lady with the Golden Hair. And now, here's Jack Webb as Jeff Regan.
Well, this is the way it started. I was sitting in the Lion's den waiting for him to get off the phone so I could ask him about my expense sheet on that New Orleans thing. He was playing the usual games with his lawyer, and just about the time he hung up and turned his chair my way, the office door opened.
All right, Regan, what do you want? Aha!
A little curly-headed man, about 40, dressed in a black suit, was standing there. He was holding a stack of $50 bills, a gold-headed cane, and a red card in one hand. In his other, he had a black derby with a hole through the top of it, a pair of suede gloves, and a white carnation. He stood there, looked at both of us. The Lion looked at the $50 bills. I looked at the little man.
Aha! You are Mr. Lyon, no? I, Max Vladney, have come to see you unappointed. There you are.
My name's Regan. This is Mr. Lyon.
Aha! You will do it.
Won't you sit down, Mr.
Max Vladney, Max. 1642 Mulholland Drive, Hollywood 28, on Imperial Studio payroll. Time I do not have. I will not sit. I demonstrate. See you. That flower I do not need. This, a ticket because I too long park, I also do not need. Cane I place here. A gift from my grandfather. I keep that. Also gloves. Now, what have I left, gentlemen?
Quite a bundle of cash, Mr. Vladimir.
Yeah. From bank I just arrived. Also this I do not need. For you. All for you.
Well, Mr. Vladimir.
Now, what I have. You I answer myself. Bullet hole in hat. See you.
Oh.
Is not finished. 1, 2, 3.
Those look like 38 slugs. Where'd you get them?
Out of doorway, I dig them where I'm shot last night in my home.
Who's shooting at you, Mr. Vladimir?
This, if I know, I shoot back. I have no enemies. Everyone is madly in love with Max Vladimir. I must buy new hats. Cannot buy new hats. Kindly you will guard my body from dying.
Of course. You've certainly come to the right place, Mr. Vladimir. If your life has been threatened, you can depend on International Detective Bureau to see that no harm comes to you.
Therefore it is so. We see.
I understand perfectly.
Well, if somebody shot at you last night, why didn't you call the police?
Mr. Regan meant to ask who recommended you to International.
I explain. In Imperial Motion Picture Studio, where master of makeup, Max Vladimir, who is great, is imported to create beautiful faces from skinny skulls and fat necks, is much newspaper. Free sometimes for agents to press. Hollywood police might think because I work on great gun epic, tie my rope tight, is free trick for agents to press. But is not joke. To you I come to take no chance.
Yeah.
In I am, Mr. Regan.
Of course you're in, Mr. Vladimir. And Mr. Regan here will stick right by your side until we can get to the bottom.
Now, wait a minute.
If I have to, I'll use every man on my staff to protect your life, Mr. Vladimir. All the resources of International Detective Bureau are behind you. Regan, I'm entrusting you with Mr. Vladimir's life.
Already better, I feel. We start.
And call me, Regan. Call me.
I know. Call you if I run into trouble. Come on, Max. Well, you can see how it was. Max Vladimir's car was parked in a red zone in front of the building, and there was another ticket on it. He tore that one up, too. On the way out to his house, I tried to get a little more information, but it didn't come to much. He couldn't figure out why somebody was shooting at him or who was doing it. It was about 6 o'clock when we pulled up in front of his house on Mulholland Drive, one of those little places with a big sun porch in front of it and an egg-shaped swimming pool in front of that. He was pulling things out of his pockets, looking for the key to the front door when it happened.
See what I tell you. All the time shooting at Maxie, someone.
All right, get on.
What I tell you, my heart is full again of hope.
All right, shut up. You aren't hit.
But he's frightening.
Well, unless he's got a machine gun, he can't find anything more.
Wait, where go you? You leave Max to be killed.
I'm going after him. Stay right here. You'll be all right. I started for the heavy brush outside the clearing of the house where white gun smoke still hung around the trees. And then I saw him. He was a gray-haired man, stocky build, glasses, about 100 feet away, running down the hill waving a gun. I went after him, but I couldn't get a clear shot. Oh, he was quite an acrobat. He dived over a wooden road bracer and went skidding down the embankment. By the time I got there, he was climbing into an old Chevy convertible, and he took off in a cloud of dust. I couldn't see the license plate on the car.
Darling, this is absolutely terrible, terrible, darling. Something like this happening to you. Oh, Max, why would anyone want to do such a thing? It's beyond me.
I got back to the house 10 minutes later, and there was a black convertible in the driveway and a very blonde girl in the doorway. She was digging the new slugs out of the woodwork with a penknife. Max was lying on one of the beach chairs. When the blonde girl saw me, she pulled off her sunglasses and held out her hand.
How do you do? You're Mr. Regan. Did you kill him?
I got away.
Oh. And I am again to be shot at.
You say he got away, then you saw who it was.
Part of him. Who are you?
Oh, I beg my pardon. This is Hilda Graham. You have seen her in pictures. The hair, I have seen her differently. She's my wife, almost.
Did you see anybody?
Well, I heard the shots as I drove up and found poor Max by the door.
He's got to stop this business, Mr. Regan. He's got to stop. Next time, maybe...
Well, it certainly does have to stop, Mr. Regan. Max, why, he's the finest makeup artist in the world. He'd be a great loss to everyone in Hollywood if anything ever happened to him.
You see? Am I valuable? Did I not tell you?
Yeah, you told me. Where's your phone?
Oh, in there, in my private workshop, study, where I have to live. Use it, please. Call Mr. Lyon and stop the shooting.
Oh, Max, darling, if you don't put them, after all you've done to me, I should be able to do something tonight. You're so helpless.
Lyon.
This is me. I'm calling from Max's. Somebody just threw 6 bullets all over the place.
What? Is Max all right?
Didn't even come close.
Oh, good. Now, the Treasury Department tells me he paid $20,000 last year in income tax, and he can afford little protection.
Well, whoever it is got away. I think we ought to turn this over to the cops.
The cops? And let them do for free what we're getting paid to do? Not on your life, Regan.
What about his life?
We'll worry about that, too. Now, listen. I'm sending Joe Canteo out there to give you a hand. Now, this Gladney's a first-class gold mine as far as I'm concerned, and that means as far as you're concerned.
I don't care what you...
Until then, do anything you want. So long as you stick by Maxie and don't call the cops.
That figured. It's a fair label.
Through phoning, Mr. Regan?
Yeah, you want one?
No, thanks. I've something much better than that at my house.
I'll bet you have.
I live all alone in Toluca Lake. End of the canyon.
I'll remember that when I get thirsty.
Who do you suppose is shooting at Max?
You tell me, lady. I just met him.
I thought you said you saw whoever it was.
I did.
Well, aren't you going to look for him or send out an alarm or whatever you do?
Yeah, whatever we do.
I see.
Don't you think you ought to be in there holding hands with Max? He's had a hard day.
Max? Oh, he's resting now. Do you think he's the kind I'd really have something in common with?
I wouldn't know, lady.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was just leaving. I have to be at the studio early tomorrow. If there's anything I can do at all, I'd be only too happy to cooperate.
Yeah, why don't you start by giving me those slugs you were digging out of the doorway?
Oh, I completely forgot about those. Here, I meant to give them to you.
Thanks, I'll need these.
Really, whatever on earth for?
Comparison test. The ejector marks, the firing pin dents. You can tell if they were fired from the same gun if you want to look into it.
And, of course, being a detective, you want to look into it.
That's right. I want to look into it.
Well, Mr. Regan, it's been nice meeting you. I know you'll take good care of Max. If there's anything I can do...
Yeah, I'll give you a ring.
Bye, Mr. Regan. Till we meet again.
I followed her out the door and watched her pat Max on the head, kiss him on the cheek. And then she slid under the wheel of that convertible like she'd been built right along with it. That famous gold in the hair was blowing behind her by the time she got onto the main road.
Be careful, careful. How lovely she is, Mr. Regan, huh?
Yeah, Maxine, she's just fine.
For her, too, you must keep me alive. She needs me.
Yeah.
What now?
We wait for another guy.
Aha, reinforcers. I like you, Mr. Regan. Already better, I feel.
Only me, Regan. Take it easy.
Oh, Canto. Come on in. What took you so long?
I stopped by police ballistics on the way out. I had them 38 slugs that Max brought in checked.
Well, I got some more for you.
Well, I found a winner. Gun belongs to a feller named Pete Berger. Ain't no permit on it. He done 6 to 18 in San Quentin once for robbery. Sprung a couple of years ago.
Address?
Yeah, a place on Figueroa right off of Sunset. Here.
Thanks. Well, he was around again this afternoon, shooting things all over the place.
Wonder what the connection is.
I'm going to find out before Maxie does. You take over, Joe.
Okay, where's our clay pigeon now?
Roosting in there. Keep your eyes open, Canto. I'll get back as soon as I can.
Oh, take your time, son. Joey the Canto is on the job.
Yeah, I feel better already.
Hey, do you know how to play Carolina in the morning? What about Carolina in the evening? Well, if there isn't a stranger in our midst, boy.
Get a look at that, will you, White? Straighten off.
Curly-haired.
Hey, sure shine. He's got big feet.
Yeah, awful big feet. What'll it be, mister? Mom champagne or beer?
Neither one, lady.
Well, we ain't got either one for you, copper.
You picked wrong tonight.
Flossie never picks them wrong. I can tell by your feet. You're paid by the city or you're a private peeper and somebody else pays you. Makes no difference to me. All spell copper. What do you want?
No fuss with you, Flossie. I'm looking for Pete Berger.
Who?
Pete Berger. This is his last address.
Ain't never heard of no Pete Berger, and neither has anybody else. And he ain't never lived here, and you got a wrong steer.
That door lead to rooms upstairs?
Yeah, that door leads to rooms upstairs.
Mind if I take a look?
I mind a lot of things, Seamus. And taking a look is one of them.
All right. This Pete Berger you don't know, never heard of, was throwing a lot of lead around yesterday and today, and I'm going to take a look anyway.
Wait. Hey, you can't go up there.
I was only halfway up when I ran in a gray sweatshirt back over to the top of the stairs. There were 3 red holes just about the center of the sweatshirt. I turned around and tried to say something. I saw what was going to happen, and I hugged the side of the banister.
Oh, Pete. Oh, Pete, honey.
She ran over and was kneeling beside him, holding his head in her arms, rocking back and forth. Yeah, you guessed it. It was the same man I'd chased all afternoon. And he didn't live 5 seconds.
We'll return to Jeff Regan, Investigator, in just a moment. But first, here's an important message from the Adjutant General's office. At no time in our nation's history has it been more important to develop an outstanding Army medical department. Without an adequate nurse corps, this cannot be accomplished, and nurses are still needed to fill the estimated requirements for 1948. If you're a graduate registered nurse, over 21 and under 45, you are invited to apply for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve. If you are selected, you may choose either active duty or inactive status. Apply to the Adjutant General, Washington 25, D.C. And now, back to the story of the lady with the golden hair. And Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, after he came falling down the stairs at me and Flossie had a good cry over him, there wasn't anything to do but to call Central Homicide. They got there a few minutes later and went over the whole place, taking pictures and prints. Finally, a wagon pulled up, took what was left of Pete Berger down to the morgue. Detective Lieutenant Salvatore Wendetti, up to Homicide, asked everybody a lot of questions, and shipped a couple of people downtown for a couple of different things, and finally got around to me.
Regan, I think you ought to get yourself a new job. Every time the lion growls, you wind up with a corpse someplace and somebody has to ask you questions.
Well, it wasn't my idea, Sally.
I might have to book you on technical charge.
Oh, stop it, will you? You know I didn't have anything to do with him getting
Now,
shot.
when the next car named Pete Berger gets topped off just before a private dick gets around asking him a few questions, I got to ask the private dick some questions myself, or else the chief is going to ask me some questions. Make sense?
All I know is that somebody's been shooting at a client of mine.
Mm-hmm. And that somebody's Pete Berger. How do you know?
The bullets came from a gun owned by Pete Berger, so I came down to see him.
Only he walks out all loaded down with 45 slugs and dies before you can say hello. Isn't that the bunk? Who's your client, Regan?
Do I have to tell you?
No, but you will.
Company policy.
Company policy. Confidence in a client, Regan.
Can you arrest me for anything?
Depends. Material witness, maybe.
Yeah. While it's depending, I'll get a hold of the lion, he'll get a hold of Harry Presidio, and then I'll bet you $10 there'll be a writ of habeas corpus at the station by the time you get me there.
All right, you're clear. This is a murder case, Regan. That's a serious crime in anybody's town.
I don't know any more than I just told you, sir.
You know the name of your client?
Okay. Why was Pete shooting at him?
That's what I was going to ask Pete.
Oh, now just exactly where does that put us?
My client's safe and sound in his home, and Joe Canto's keeping an eye on him.
When Canto was pounding a beat for the department, some guys got away from him.
A lot of guys get away from a lot of cops, but not when the cops watching. Canto's good at that. You know him.
Oh, sure. It's a thought.
Well, it's no good.
Before Pete Berger went to San Quentin, he was never very handy with a gun because his eyes were so bad he couldn't see his hand in front of his face.
He didn't hit anything yesterday or today, but he was sure trying.
Now, Flossie told me Pete's been playing stuntman in pictures, making a buck at it. It seems he learned all his tricks while he was in the clink. They have a nice gym up there. I never tell what they'll do next. Still, can't understand why he'd all of a sudden go around shooting at somebody.
You figure it's Sally
maybe there
Youngling.
was something personal and that Pete had to do it. And whoever Pete was shooting, I got kind of sore. Turn around and plug Pete tonight, huh?
My client's home, safe.
Shoot. Canto's good. Almost forgot. Pete Berger was a perfect setup for a wise guy. An ex-con who done 15 years, who learns his lesson, wants to make a straight dime, gets mad when anybody bothers.
Blackmail.
It's been done before. Pete had a good, healthy bank balance. I guess he was saving up for his old age. But some wise guy finds out Pete's a con, says, I'll tell your boss unless you kick in. Then maybe Pete starts shooting to scare him into shutting up. Make sense?
Sounds like an old fairy tale,
But
Sally.
screwy enough to be the answer. Only this wise guy Pete's shooting at thinks Pete might be mean to business. So he just comes over here tonight and plugs Pete.
And who's the wise guy?
Your client. You aren't going to tell me his name?
I can't involve a client in a murder.
Oh, yeah, company policy. I almost forgot. Regan will find out in the morning. We got some lawyers, too.
I know.
Couldn't tell me now?
I'll phone you in an hour, Sally.
Okay, Regan, you can talk to him first. But phone me.
Good night.
Night, Regan. See you around.
My watch said 4 o'clock by the time I got to the hills back of Laurel Canyon and started up Mulholland Drive. The usual fog was in the usual places, doing the usual things to trees and houses. And when I pulled up in front of Max's house, one light was burning in the window. The rest of the house looked dark. Everything was quiet. The first thing I noticed was cordite. It smells black, and it means that guns have been fired. The whole room was full of it. Max Fladney was lying half on the floor and half on the table he'd used for a workshop. A bottle of spirit gum was spilled on the floor along with some false blonde hair and a cracked wig block. He had one free arm around a white plaster cast of a head, just like it was a doll. There were 2 blue holes in the middle of his forehead. I just stood there looking at him when I heard a noise in back of me. It was Canto, and he was on the floor at the foot of the bed.
Oh, no, don't try to move me, Regan. I've been laying here waiting for you. It's in my lungs somewhere. I don't think I got any blood to spare. Joey boy let you down, huh? It happened an hour after you left. I don't know who done it. There was a lot of noise in Max's room, and I come in, the next thing I knowed, I'm taking a slug myself. Hey, call me a doc, will you, Regan? I got a date tomorrow night. She's been trying to get rid of me. Just to give her a good excuse. Guess Lionel'll be mad, huh? Call me a doc, Regan, right quick.
Well, I made a lot of phone calls before it was all over. Hollywood Receiving Hospital, Windetti, Central Homicide, and I got the Lion out of bed and told him what had happened. He said he'd meet me at the hospital. I hung around a while and talked to Windetti. He didn't have much to say. When he got through poking around, he gave me a lift as far as the hospital. The Lion was standing around the hall when I got there. It was the first time I'd ever seen him look tired.
Hello, Regan. I just talked to the doctor. This is going to cost plenty.
How bad is it?
$25 a day for a room, plus surgery.
No, I mean Canto.
Oh. Bullet penetrated upper lobe of his right lung. Here, they pulled this out.
45 slug.
Who shoots 45s that good?
Lots of people.
Same kind of people who go around killing Pete Berger and Max Vladney.
Yeah.
Candle getting himself shot's going to eat up every penny we might have made on this thing.
Is money all you ever think of?
What else is there to think about? If you got it, you're fine. If you haven't got it, you're nothing but a bum.
One of your own men is lying in there wondering if he's ever going to live or die, and he took that slug because you sent him on the job.
Everybody dies. I'll give him a citation.
Oh, you big pile of blubber. I ought to push you out a window.
Now, talk like that isn't going to help anything.
No, but I know what
now,
is.
Wait a minute, Regan. This is a police job.
Oh, now it's a police job.
Yeah, like I told you. And you can't go running around sticking your snoot into a couple of killings and giving International a lot of bad publicity.
Now, get this, Fatso. I'm going out and find the guy who plugged Canto.
Now, you listen to me.
I want it down in the books and the papers and any place else that an international operator brought in a guy who killed one of their clients and shot one of their men.
I won't be responsible for anything that happens.
Okay, if you don't like the way I do things, you can pull my license right off the wall and get yourself another boy.
Hey, where are you going? Come back.
Well, Mr. Regan, when I saw you at Max's yesterday afternoon, I didn't think you'd come by for that drink at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, come in. I was just having coffee. I have to be at the studio for an early makeup job.
You look all right to me the way you are.
Well, you can be nice. Will you have some coffee?
No, thanks.
Oh?
I just stopped by for a minute. I'm afraid I have some tough news for you.
Max. Something happened to Max.
He's dead.
Oh, no. Not Max. Oh,
Somebody shot him 3 hours ago.
why would anyone want to kill Max?
That's what I'm going to find out.
Max expected me to marry him. So many plans. What can I do to help, Mr. Regan? What can I do?
All right, now look. A smart cop named Wendetti is going to be knocking on your door pretty soon. He's going to ask you a lot of questions about Max. Give me the answers first.
Would you mind terribly if we sat down? Max was all I had. I want to be near someone.
Sure.
I know I'm acting silly about this. What is it I can tell you, Mr. Regan?
Did Max ever mention a man named Pete Berger?
No. Never heard that name before.
Well, he worked at the same studio. He was the one that shot at Max yesterday afternoon.
And he killed Max?
No, he's dead, too. He was shot to death an hour earlier. I was there.
I'm not very good at this kind of thing. What are you trying to tell me, Mr. Regan?
Both of these killings were done by an amateur, and not very good jobs. But there had to be some reason.
I don't know.
I've been in the business a long time, lady. Too long. People kill for money or love, or just for the crazy feel of blasting a gun at somebody.
This has been a lot for you.
You know, if you find a reason, you find a killer. What kind of work would a makeup man be doing at home?
I don't know. Max always tried to improve his work. Suppose that's why he made the money he did.
He might have made a plaster cast of a head so he could study a face.
I suppose so. Yes.
Your face?
Yes, I suppose so. Why?
Well, it's a nice face. I've seen it in pictures.
Most press agents think my hair is nicer.
Yeah, it is. Long, golden hair.
It feels soft and warm. The way you hoped it would feel.
Yeah, it does.
And my lips? I don't feel bad doing this. I never did love Max. I was indebted to him. I was terribly ill several years ago. He helped me.
I can see why he felt the way he did about you.
Can you? I like the way you did that.
I know what Max had been working on. It was something for you.
Really?
He was holding a plaster cast of your head in his arms when I found him. Of course, there was no hair on it, and it looked kind of funny.
Don't say that! Don't ever say anything like that!
Yep, now I got it.
What are you talking about?
Murder, lady, lots of it. You killed a poor ex-con because he bungled a job you blackmailed him into doing. You shot him last night because I was going to talk to
You're
him.
crazy. Why would I do a thing like that?
Then you went over and you killed Max. And while you were at it, you pumped a slug or two into Joe Cano.
There's got to be a reason.
Every newspaper in the country's going to carry your story, lady. Oh, yeah. Hilda Graham, the one with all the long golden hair, is really as bald as a fresh egg.
Shut up! Shut up! Don't you ever say anything like that in front of me. Why do you...
Go ahead, lady. Pick up that paperweight and I'll break you in two. Now, come on. Let's go.
No. Oh, no, you can't. You mustn't. They'll find out about my hair. Please, please don't tell them about my hair. I couldn't stand that. Oh, please, you know how nice I can be.
Lady, you're a bum. Well, Max had been trying to get her to marry him, and she didn't want to marry anybody, so she killed him. The police stenographer scratched his head on that one until I explained it was her hair, that long golden hair. Only it wasn't hers. It was a wig that Max had fixed up for her. She'd lost all hers when she was sick and couldn't stand the thought of anybody going around knowing it wasn't her own. Yeah, I guess you run into all kinds. A couple of days later, I saw Canto at the hospital. He'd had some transfusions and a lot of other things. He's coming along fine. I was reading a paper when I walked in.
Oh, Regan. So what is what, huh?
Hi, Joe.
I've been reading about that Hilda Graham. Too bad they don't take her picture without all that pretty hair. It'd serve her right.
Yeah. How you feeling?
Peachy. Regan, how long we been working for the line?
Too long.
How many people been killed and messed up in that time that me and you knows about personally?
Too many.
There's one thing I can't get through my nose. Why don't we get some other kind of a job? Real estate or movie extras or something. Why do we do it? Why do we do it, Jeff?
I don't know, Joe. I don't know.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan, with Wilms Herbert as Anthony J. Lyon. It's CBS same time next week for trouble, suspense, and thrilling adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. The role of Max Vladney was played by Hans Conried, with Barton Yarborough as Joe Canto. Betty Lou Gerson was Hilda Graham. Jack Crucian was Wendetti. Marlo Dwyer was Flossie. Jeff Regan, Investigator is written by E. Jack Newman, produced and directed by Gordon T. Hughes, with special music by Del Castillo. This program came to you from Hollywood. Bob Lamont speaking for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Bunko Fugitive Detail. You receive information an escaped criminal is hiding out in your city. He's dangerous. He may be armed. Your job, get him.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke king-size Fatima. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. And that's why Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. So, enjoy Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, April 27th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working a night watch out of Bunko Fugitive Detail. My partner is Ben Romero. The boss is Blaine Steed, captain of Bunko Fugitive. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from communications, and it was 6:45 p.m. when I got to room 38, squad room.
Hi. How are you?
How about some dinner?
Well, we got one to check out first. Here's the teletype. Skipper just brought it in.
Thanks. From San Rafael, huh? Pick up and hold for this department one Alfred Garvey. Wanted for suspicion, forgery, robbery. This man poses as a fingerprint expert from San Rafael Police Department.
Here's his mug pulled from the Record Bureau.
Mm-hmm. We're informed Garvey is registered at the Fair Deal Hotel, your city. Where's that?
Over near First and Broadway.
Yeah. Please advise us on his arrest, and officers will arrive with warrant signed. Chief Police Frank Kelly, San Rafael, California.
Shouldn't take long to pick him up.
All right, we can eat later, I guess.
Hi.
Hi, Max. What are you doing around? I thought you took off on vacation.
I am. Just came back to pick up some stuff in my locker.
Soft touch.
Sure. Listen, the wife's got the car there. Are you guys going anywhere near North Main and Daly?
Yeah, we're going to leave right now.
Oh, okay. Let me grab my coat.
All right.
You live out near Highland Park, don't you, May?
Yeah. Wife took the kids shopping in the car this afternoon. Had to get them shoes for our vacation. Kids sure scuff up the toes in a hurry.
All right, you all set?
Let's go.
Where are you going on your vacation?
Big Bear. We're going to stay the whole 3 weeks. The in-laws own a cabin up there. They even pay the utilities for us.
It's pretty nice.
Only one trouble.
What's that?
They're coming with us.
Oh.
Where'd you park?
In the captain's stall.
All right.
All right, in the back.
Okay.
You two still working on that Valley case?
No, we washed it up Monday.
What's this one?
Teletype from San Rafael. I want some guy picked up. Here's a mugshot.
Who's Richards going to work with while he's gone, May?
I don't know. What's the crowd up ahead?
Oh, yeah. Shriners Convention. I forgot they were having a parade tonight.
You better stay over to one side. I think we can get through all right. Watch those kids there.
Yeah, there we go.
That's the place up ahead, isn't it?
Fair deal, yeah.
We got to stop by this hotel a minute, Max. You want to wait here?
I'll come in.
All right.
It's a big turnout for the parade, huh?
Yeah, it's a big crowd.
Fair Deal Hotel. Look at those rates. 35 cents a day, $2 a week.
Yes, sir. Can I help you? Police officers, would you look at this picture, please?
All right.
Maybe registered as Alfred Garvey.
Garvey sure came in yesterday. The picture makes him look old.
Is he in now?
Well, let's see. Garvey, room 307. The key's gone. He must be in.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Elevator's down there at the end of the hall.
Okay.
The elevator's in use.
Let's take the stairs.
I'll wait for you here. I want to see the parade.
Okay, man. I've never seen it to fail.
It's sad.
Stairs. Every time my arch is hurt, we get a thief to check who lives upstairs.
Just one more flight.
Yeah.
305, 307.
Door's open.
Let's have a look. Come on.
It's empty. Nothing in the closet.
Yeah, pretty fast checkout.
It came from downstairs.
The lobby. Come on.
Yep.
Come on, hurry up.
Hey, stop him! Stop that guy, police! The police!
It's Max. Max, are you all right?
He went out the door, blue suit.
It was Garvey. He shot your friend.
Call an ambulance.
He ran out the door and shot your friend.
Come on, Ben. Call that ambulance, will you? Hey, you. Did you see a man come out of this hotel?
What'd you say?
Did you just see a man come out of this hotel?
That one? I don't know.
All right, Ben, you go that way. I'll check up this way.
Yeah, right. What doesn't matter? Watch where you're going, huh?
Did you see a man running up this way just now, about my height, blue suit?
Huh? No, I didn't see anybody. Did you see anybody?
Hey, boy.
Yeah, you want a paper, mister?
No, listen, did you see a man running by here a minute ago in a blue suit?
Well, maybe. I didn't notice it. You want a paper?
I'm sorry. Sorry, lady. Ben, over here.
Yeah.
Did you spot him?
No, we're going to need help.
All right, come on.
I called the ambulance. You better help your friend. He's bleeding. I don't know what to do.
Ben, get a hold of communications. Get some help out here.
Right. The guy came down in the elevator. It was Garvey who flamed trying to stop him. Garvey shot him right in the face.
All right, stop yelling,
It was terrible. Now, look, he's bleeding. You better do something.
Will you shut up? Max, how is it?
Chest hurts.
Yeah, all right, easy, huh?
Garvey came out of the elevator fast with a gun.
All right, take it easy now.
Joe, I got communications there blocking off the area.
It's fine. Watch that front door. Will you keep those people out of here?
Yeah.
Chest.
I'll be here in a minute, boy.
Call the wife, Eleanor.
Ambulance is here.
Yeah.
He looks bad.
Well, he's not going to get any worse. He's dead. The name on the personnel report said John Warren Maxwell, Sergeant, Los Angeles Police Department, badge number 10377. Nearest living relative, wife, Eleanor Jean Maxwell. Dependents, John Maxwell, Jr., 6 years. Deborah Lee Maxwell, 2 years. Death in line of duty, April 27th, 7:15 p.m. John Maxwell's body was removed from Georgia Street to the county morgue. At 7:45, a special detail of men from homicide and bunco fugitive were on the scene to aid in the investigation of the killing. The neighborhood where the Fairdale Hotel was located was covered for a half mile around. By 9 o'clock, the parade was over and the area was cleared. We had a single lead to work with. In checking out the different taxicab stands in the neighborhood, we found out that 3 separate fares had been picked up within 2 blocks of the hotel, 4 minutes after the shooting. Ben and I went to the offices of the taxicab company. The cabs in question were called in and the waybills were checked. The times of the 3 different trips were listed, and so was the address of each destination. We copied down the addresses and then interviewed the drivers.
We're going to give each one of you half a dozen pictures. I'd like to see if you can identify any of them as passengers you picked up tonight near the Fairdale Hotel.
All right, here you go.
There you are.
4, 5, 6. Check them carefully, please.
Here are yours right here. Take a good look at each one of them.
Okay, thanks.
Now, fellas, take your time. Look them all over real good before you make up your mind.
Yeah, here's the one, Sergeant. No mistake.
Let me see. Where'd you pick up this man?
About a block from the hotel. I drove him to a place on 14th Street. Same address on the waybill.
Ben?
Yeah?
Alfred Garvey. Ben and I, along with Ricketts and Chandler from Homicide, drove out to the 14th Street address, another small transient hotel. The clerk on duty identified Garvey from his mug shot. He said the suspect had called at the hotel at about 7:45 that night and asked to see one of the guests, Mrs. Lorraine Thomas. The clerk said he told Garvey Mrs. Thomas was out, that she hadn't been there for 4 days. Ricketts and Chandler went on a stakeout in the lobby of the hotel, and Ben and I went up to the second floor to stake out Mrs. Thomas's room. Friday, 11:25 a.m. Lorraine Thomas returned to the hotel and was taken into custody. We took her to Homicide and questioned her for more than an hour. She admitted that she was acquainted with Garvey, but that's all. 1 o'clock. We went to Clifton's cafeteria for lunch.
Here, take this tray.
Thanks.
Silverware?
Get here a little earlier, you wouldn't get this. Look at that line right there.
You were the first one he ran to after the shooting.
Well, Garvey doesn't have many friends in Los Angeles. Maybe that's why he looked me up. I'll have the mixed green salad, please.
What kind of work does Garvey do, do you know?
He told me he was in the Merchant Marines.
Coleslaw.
Some of that potato salad, please. Do you know what he does in the Merchant Marine?
He told me he's steward. French dressing, please.
Do you know any of his friends in town?
No, I don't. Rye bread. Can I have an extra butter, please?
Oh, French roll. What kind do you want, Ben?
Now, give me some of those biscuits. Thank you.
Garvey usually stay at the Fairdale Hotel when he's in town?
I don't know.
That split pea soup sure looks good, and
We told you that the police up north were looking for him.
Yeah, I know you did. Like I told you, I've been out with him a few times. That's all I know about him.
He must have introduced you to some of his friends.
I'll have the prime ribs there, rare. That piece there.
How about it? Did you ever meet any of his friends?
Yeah, one or two. No gravy.
Meatloaf, brown gravy. Remember any of the names of his friends?
I just met him, that's all. I don't remember.
Let me have a roast turkey. Go kind of heavy on that dressing, will you? Did you ever go out with any of them?
No.
Why do you think Garvey went to your hotel after the shooting?
I don't know.
Maybe he figured you'd hide him.
I don't know why you should.
He killed a man and headed straight for your place. Doesn't make you look too good.
I can't help that. I like some of those string beans, please.
Miss Thomas, you know it's going to go hard on you if you're holding back information on Garvey.
I'm not.
Why don't you take some of that summer squash, Joe? It's good for you.
Well, I can't eat that much. When did you first meet Garvey?
About 3 years ago, up in St. Helena.
You might as well keep your nose clean.
How do you mean?
We're going to reach you, Miss Thomas. You might as well tell us all you know.
Look, if Garvey's killing people, I don't want to have any more to do with him.
We do. Now, where is he?
I told you, I don't know.
Squash, please.
You said you had a little boy, didn't you, Miss Thomas?
Do we have to talk about it now? I thought we were going to have lunch.
How old's your little boy?
He's 7 years old.
Where is he now?
He's in school up in San Francisco. Isn't this line going awful slow?
It's lunchtime. You know that cop that Garvey killed last night?
Mashed potatoes, country gravy.
Hear what I said?
Yes, I know he killed a cop.
He had a little boy, too.
There's nothing I can do.
No potatoes, thanks.
Yeah, there's something you can do, Miss Thomas. You can tell us where Garvey is.
If I knew, I'd tell you.
French fries, please.
You're kidding us, Miss Thomas, but we're not going to kid you. You know a lot more about this than you're telling us.
Maybe I do, but I'm scared.
Who are you afraid of?
Look, why can't you count me out of this? I don't want any part of it.
You're in all the way. The only way you're going to get out is to tell us what you know.
He'll kill me. Suppose something happens to me, nobody's going to worry about my kid.
You don't have to worry. He's not going to find out.
No dessert, please.
They'll both kill me.
Both? Who's the other one?
Oh, what's the use? Trouble, no matter what you try to do, nothing but trouble.
Garvey's working with somebody, is that it?
His name's Jack Fleming.
Yeah?
They made me promise to cover for him. Give him a place to hide out whenever the heat was on.
Then you know where they are.
No, I don't, and that's the truth.
Why do they need a place to hide out?
You said Garvey killed a cop.
What about Fleming?
Hey, Joe, you better move along there.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about Fleming?
We're going to pull some jobs.
All right, we can skip the dessert. Come on. I'll take a check for all of them.
Let's go.
What kind of jobs? Where?
Hold up. Tomorrow night. Three Kings Liquor Store out in Wilshire.
Let's sit down.
They're both the same, Garvey and Fleming. They can't hold a gun without using it.
Here's the table. Oh, you dropped your tray. I'll get you some more.
Don't bother. I'm not hungry anymore.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation, presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of Lee Silver, general assignment reporter on one of New York's greatest newspapers. This is his actual signed statement.
When you have to meet a news deadline, you work at a fast pace, smoke at a fast pace. That's why I smoke Fatima. They're extra mild. In my opinion, it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And more smokers are discovering this every day. Actual figures show Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy Fatima yourself.
The long cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Saturday, April 29th. Last rites were held for Sergeant John Maxwell, and he was buried at Holy Cross Cemetery. The guard of honor from the police department was present, along with most of the men Maxwell had worked with in Bunko Fugitive Detail. The chief of detectives delivered a short eulogy, and one of the men from the department band sounded taps over the grave. We got back to the office at noon, checked in at the record bureau. The photocopy room had taken negatives of Garvey's and Fleming's coming out mugs and made duplicates that were distributed to all officers. The stakeouts continued at the Fair Deal and the 14th Street Hotel where Lorraine Thomas was staying. She was put under protective custody. Ben and I, Ricketts and Chandler, went on stakeout at the Three Kings Liquor Store on Wilshire Boulevard. It was a large, modern place and it did a volume business, especially on Saturday night. Ricketts and Chandler covered the store from the outside. Ben and I were stationed in the supply room at the rear of the place, where we had the main counter and most of the store in full view. We set up a prearranged signal with the clerk on duty, and if and when Garvey and Fleming showed up, the clerk was to accidentally knock an empty bottle off the counter. We waited until midnight. Nothing happened.
It's the first customer in half an hour. It's kind of slow.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Here comes another one.
No sale. It's a woman.
The clerk sure got the jitters.
Well, I'll put in with him.
Well, I could go for a hamburger.
What did you eat dinner?
I wasn't very hungry then.
Oh, I've got an almond bar. You want it?
Yeah, thanks. Wait a minute. Another customer.
Yeah, man. Can't see his face too well with that hat on, can you?
That's Fleming. Come on. Police officers, get your hands up.
Watch it, Joe. You're hitting.
He's going out the front. Come on.
Ricketts and Chandler stopped him.
Yeah, he's down. Watch him. Get the gun.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is.
That's Fleming, all right. Ricketts, call an ambulance.
What's the score?
Well, looks like one in the shoulder and legs, too.
What about Garvey?
I don't know.
What do you think?
Fleming stopped all the slugs.
Yeah.
Let's ask him. The wounded suspect was treated at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital and then booked into the prison ward at the General Hospital. At 11 a.m. the next day, we questioned him, but he refused to admit that he even knew Alfred Garvey. We re-questioned Fleming for the next 3 days with no results. The stakeouts continued. The search went on. There was no response to our APB. Garvey was still at large. As far as we were concerned, there was only one way to get directly to Garvey, and that was through Fleming. We called on Lorraine Thomas again and asked her that if she'd try to get some information on Fleming, try to get him to talk and to tell her where Garvey was.
I'm not even sure if he knows where Garvey's hiding.
He must have a good idea.
Even if he has, he's not going to tell me. He wouldn't trust me that far.
He'll go further with you than he will with us. He won't even give us his name.
I'm afraid it's up to you, Miss Thomas.
Why can't you let me out of this?
Hey, look, figure it this way. You knew about Fleming and Garvey. You knew they were in town. You knew what they were up to. You didn't break your back to save that dead cop's life.
Garvey shot him. I did.
You knew he was a killer. You knew he had a gun.
What do you want me to do?
Get close to Fleming. Visit him every day till he talks.
But he doesn't trust me. I told you.
Then get him to trust you, will you? Do favors for him. He wants to contact friends to raise money for a lawyer. Help him do that. Run errands. Do anything for him within reason.
Suppose he finds out about the holdup. That I told you about it.
He's got a long stretch ahead of him. He won't bother you.
They'll kill me if they find out. They wouldn't wait a minute.
They won't find out.
All right. Won't be my fault. Al did the shooting. He killed the cop. Let him square it up.
He'll square it with the court. There's only one trouble.
Yeah?
Maxwell's wife and kids. How does Al square it with them? On the morning of May 8th, suspect Jack Fleming was removed from his private room and wheeled down to the X-ray lab on the pretext of treatment. While he was absent, a dictaphone was placed in his room by a sound crew from the crime lab. Fleming was then returned. That afternoon, while Ben and I listened in on earphones in the next room, Lorraine Thomas paid her first visit to Fleming. We had briefed her on how to proceed in getting the suspect to talk, in particular, to reveal Garvey's hideout. It was a slow process. For the next 15 days, between the hours of 2 and 4 in the afternoon, Mrs. Thomas visited Fleming while Ben and I monitored their conversation in the adjoining room. For 15 days, despite all her shows of confidence, Fleming refused to confide. He was sullen and close-mouthed. Some afternoons he would hardly speak to her. On the 16th day, his mood seemed to be improving.
Here, Let me fix that pillow for you, Jack. There. Is that better?
Yeah. That's good. Thanks.
I got in touch with Dave and Johnny like you asked me to.
Huh? What did they say?
Well, they said they could get you the money for the lawyer the day after tomorrow. And Dave said he might be able to see you tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. Once I get a lawyer, I'll stop worrying.
I stopped by Danelli's place, too. Pop Royce wasn't there. I'm going back tomorrow to see him. He ought to be able to help.
You've been okay, Larry. I won't forget it.
Oh, that's what friends are for. Jim, sure sorry you had to get it this way.
Forget it. I can give it back where it came from.
Say, I brought you some new magazines, a couple of candy bars.
Swell. Put them over here near the bed, will you?
Yeah, sure. Let me get them for you. There, Jack. See, I'll put them right here on this table. I'll bring you some more tomorrow.
That's fine. You're going to try and see Pop Royce again tomorrow?
Yeah, they told me he'd be in around noon for sure. If I don't see him then, I'll keep trying till I do.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, listen. There's something else.
Sure, Jack.
Come here. I don't want to talk loud. The cops might have bumped this room.
Yeah. All right.
A little closer.
Okay.
Tonight, I want you to go to George's joint, the Blue Moon, down on South Flower.
Yeah?
And ask for George at the bar. He's usually around from 11 on.
Uh-huh.
Tell George you've seen me. He'll know it. Then tell him to take you to Al.
To take me to Al?
Yeah, Al Garvey. George knows the place.
Yeah. Okay, Jack.
And keep your mouth shut. Don't talk to anybody but George. He knows the place.
All right, Jack. They'll help you out.
Well?
Yeah.
It's a long wait.
Get paid. Let's go. 10:45 p.m. A detail of 3 cars followed Lorraine Thomas to the Blue Moon Tavern on South Flower Street. We parked down the block and watched her go in. At 15 minutes past 11, she came out with a small fat man in a dark blue suit. They got in a tan-colored coupe and drove south. The cruiser cars, using 3-way radio, tailed the coupe alternately out through the Echo Park area and then back to the starting point at the Blue Moon Tavern. Lorraine Thomas went back into the bar with a man and 20 minutes later came out, caught a taxi, and took it to her hotel on 14th Street. We drove back to the office. It was 5 minutes past 1 a.m.
That's it?
I get it. Munko Fugitive, Friday.
Lorraine Thomas, Sergeant. He showed me the place George did.
Where?
We drove past it. 1032 Alamo, apartment 3.
Is Garvey there now?
No. George said he's supposed to be there tomorrow in the afternoon, 5 o'clock. George said I'll have to go alone.
Are they watching the place?
I think so. Garvey's staying with another man. They got guns.
You know where Garvey is now?
George wouldn't tell me.
We can't afford to tip our hand. How do we know Garvey will be there at 5 o'clock tomorrow?
That's just it. We don't.
May 9th, 3 p.m. An immediate stakeout was placed at the suspected hideout. A detail of 20 plainclothesmen began filtering into the neighborhood in the vicinity of 1032 Alamo Street. The 3-story apartment house at that address was checked thoroughly and then covered on all sides. Apartment 3 on the first floor was checked out, too. It was registered to a Thomas King, whom the manager identified as Alfred Garvey from his mugshot. To avoid pedestrian casualties, we toured the immediate vicinity between 3 and 4:30 that afternoon, advising residents and storekeepers to clear the street and stay inside. At 4:35 p.m., the men in the detail took up their assigned positions. We waited.
Hold that light, will you?
Yeah.
Thanks. Awful lot of trouble for that punk Garvey.
Be more trouble if he doesn't show.
No such luck. Tan coupe coming down the street behind us.
Same one we tailed last night.
A girl driving. There's 2 guys with her.
Yeah, Garvey's one of them. They're pulling up.
Ready?
Now, wait a minute. All right, let's go. Police officers, hold it right there.
Al, cops!
Get down.
Right behind the car.
Throw him in, Garvey. You haven't got a chance.
Al, break for the house!
All right, hold it, Ben.
That's it. Both of them.
Come on.
Both dead. Garvey. The other guy. Rotten case.
Rotten business.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 2nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 93, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, king-size Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Long cigarette smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Long cigarette smokers find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Jack Fleming, the only survivor of the hold-up gang, was found guilty of several counts of armed robbery. Garvey's accomplices who aided him in hiding out were tried and convicted of being accessories. They are serving prison terms as prescribed by law. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
The Halls of Ivy is pleasant listening tomorrow on NBC.
Then, Pat Novak For Hire. Sure, I'm Pat Novak. For Hire. Down around the Embarcadero, everybody's clawing his neighbor for a quick buck, and everybody knows it. Sure, if you call your work something else, who are you fooling? I rent boats when that pays off, and in between, I do what I can to keep something on my hip besides a handkerchief. If you'd been along with me a few days ago, you'd have known that I was ready for work. A friend of mine called Ira had an inside tip on a hot horse in the third race at Bay Meadows. I'd gone down there to see if I could promote the news into currency. It was a good idea, except that my horse was still running in the third when they started the fourth. All I had left of my bankroll was an empty feeling. After checking through my pockets, I went out on a highway and started back to town. I was still unlimbering my thumb when a long, low roadster pulled up beside me. It was a very expensive job, including the driver. She was just about old enough to vote, and if she did, and the candidates weren't blind, they'd have spent all their time on her corner.
Is on my way, mister?
I'd sure like to be.
How do you know which way I'm going?
The scenery's good wherever it's located.
The shy type.
You want me to stammer?
No, but you could wait until we're introduced.
Will Novak clear the air any?
My name's Lydia Reynolds. Novak. Haven't I heard about you somewhere?
If you have, you ought to change your friends.
Oh, you're sort of a lone wolf detective or something.
You got 3 votes there. One of them ought to win.
Well, if you're any of those, maybe I could use you.
You look like you could afford it.
Oh, that's no problem.
If money's no problem, you aren't really worrying.
What do you call fear?
Narrow it down.
I can't. It's just... Well, have you ever felt as if something were hovering over you and yet you didn't know what it was?
Could be a blackjack. A second zombie.
Will you help me?
All I can do for nightmares, lady, is keep you up late.
It's more real than that, believe me.
So's the money hiring me will cost you.
You'll do it then. You could be a sort of a bodyguard.
Do I get to fill in the pauses?
Well, at least I won't have to worry about you keeping your mind on your work. Wait here. I have to make a phone call.
She walked away, and it was smooth and easy to watch, like a bird gliding on a bit of wind. When she got out of sight, I began to think about the hire. I'd heard of rich dames doing crazy things, but this was crowding the record. Nobody hires a watchman to stand off a bad dream. I felt like a guy getting ready to fly with a pair of homemade wings. It could be thrilling. Then what else? The what else began to develop right away. A car pulled up near me with 2 men in it. One of them got out. A big guy with the kind of a face you see in ads for men's swimming trunks, handsome and a little vacant. He came over to the car. He wanted to talk.
Got a match, buddy?
Yeah. Here.
Thanks, buddy. It's a nice car you got there.
Mm-hmm.
Must have set you back $3 or $4 grand.
It's only money.
Yeah. What'd you say your name was?
If you're selling anything, I don't want it. Give me back my matches.
I didn't catch the name, buddy.
The wind's against you. Try shutting your mouth.
You have to be nasty.
You got the ways that make it come easy.
You know, I could teach you manners if I had time.
You ain't built to teach me anything I don't want to learn.
No, well, I can try. Starting with, what's this in my hand?
So you're loaded.
So let's drive down the road and see what else I can learn you. Like remembering your name, for instance. Head right into the city. You do know where the city is, don't you?
Look, sucker, if you're out to roll me, you grabbed the wrong goose.
Don't tell me you're broke.
Try the second $5 window down at Bay Meadows.
You're broke. And $3 grand worth of auto? That makes about as much sense as stuttering Dan O'Brien.
So you bet on the 3-legged horse. Let's break it up and forget it.
We're coming into town now. I might as well write it out.
Besides, this ain't my crate. I thumbed a ride from a dame I was waiting for when you started waving around the artillery.
You're telling me her name's Lydia Reynolds. Look, drive up that alley before you get lost.
Hey, you knucklehead, it's a dead-end street.
That's all right. From here on, you're riding on a...
When I came to, it was raining. Not much. Just a faint drizzle. It felt nice on the back of my neck and my hair. As things came back into focus, I found out I was still behind the wheel. I was leaning like a flower a week after the wedding. My head felt big enough for a size 30 hat. I could count every pulse beat and aches. Didn't get any better when someone started shaking me. A big, rough hand. Would have been a gold mine for a rug cleaning outfit. I turned my head enough to see a flock of vest buttons bulging over a belt.
Come on, Novak. The show's a turkey.
Go away, Hellman. This ain't an apple cart.
That's no good, Novak. You'll never make Broadway.
Stop shaking me. What do you think I am, a whiskey sour?
Don't worry. You haven't begun to shake. Wait till the judge starts to read the papers at you.
You think I stole the car?
There's that and
so they caught up with you. They took you off homicide and put you on a hot car detail. I can see now where insurance rates are going to zoom out of sight.
I caught you and the motor's still warm.
You couldn't catch a fever in a flu epidemic.
And while the body's still warm.
You couldn't find your way up an escalator. What'd you say?
The body. In the back of the car. And you hammed that act almost as much as you did that fake blackout.
She called it a nightmare. The body wasn't much to see, just a standard model citizen with a little too much weight and a little too little hair on his head. If he'd been anything special when he was breathing, it had all gone away like a shout in a high wind. Hellman went through the suit, but all that turned up was a hole in the pocket and some chicken feed change. I needed to find out what was going on, and I needed to find it fast. I figured a good place to start was to look up Lydia Reynolds. I'd taken her address off the car. It was a nice place, a cozy 16 or so rooms done in neat white marble. Set back from the rabble in St. Francis Woods behind enough lawn to outfit a golf course. A butler answered my ring, an easy 6 feet of well-collected muscles. He led me along a flock of Persian rugs. I ended up in a living room a little smaller than the Young Museum. Lydia was over by a window. She wasn't glad to see me. She wasn't mad either. Just polite.
Did you have a pleasant drive?
I'll settle for exciting.
Do you always steal cars like that, or is it something you just developed?
What am I supposed to do with that?
Is the question strange? If you knew my neurotic friend, you'd know I have to ask things like that.
Yeah, I met one of them.
I phoned the police about the car, but I'm glad you changed your mind.
Everybody helped, including a friend of yours who held me up, made me drive away, and then slugged me.
A friend of mine?
He knew you're a tall, handsome citizen with a loud voice and nasty manners.
You're describing most of my friends. That doesn't help at all.
This one likes jokes. He planted a corpse in the back of the car.
You're joking, aren't you? I mean, this really didn't happen.
No, all you got to do is explain away my headache.
It means those fears I had weren't just my imagination.
Then what do you got?
That's a good question, my dear. Maybe you ought to think about it.
We were talking. Alone.
You're forgetting your manners.
Am I?
Introduce us, Lydia.
Mr. Novak, my uncle, Charles Reynolds.
And then you'd better go up and rest, don't you think?
I want to talk to Mr. Novak.
Tomorrow would be better. I'm sure Mr. Novak will excuse you.
I'll sit anywhere. It's not my ball game.
Charles. Someday, Charles. Excuse me, Patsy.
A drink, Mr. Novak?
Make it straight, for a change.
Perhaps I should tell you that I'm Lydia's legal guardian as well as her uncle.
The day's full of news.
Those fears of hers are really nothing. Just her imagination. She's a very nervous, high-strung girl. Did you notice?
I didn't notice her trying to climb up the walls.
Of course, it's not that bad. But I'll admit her imagination gives me trouble now and then.
The job's tough, but the pay's good.
I'll look after my niece. I hope it hasn't inconvenienced you any.
Not so far. She hired me. I'll stick around till she fires me.
I'm afraid that's impossible.
They used to say that about flying.
I told you my niece is highly neurotic. She's not responsible for her acts. I'm willing to pay whatever you think
So
is necessary.
so far. I'll leave it that way till she hangs up the phone.
You're wrong about that. My niece is not coming down again tonight. You might as well go.
Mind if I check that with her?
Yes, I do. Are you leaving, or will I have the butler show you out?
Never mind the muscles. I'll play your cards, this time at least.
This time as the last time.
That part is still with her.
I tell you I run this establishment.
Yeah? I'm beginning to wonder how. The big butler showed me out. A nice guy to have around if you go for screens in the night. It was quiet and roomy outside. A big, peaceful sky with the moon like a washtub. Little piece of wind playing with the trees on the grounds. Like some old ghosts whispering together. I heard Lydia call the first time she tried. It wasn't much above a breath. She was upstairs at a window. She told me to go to the guest house set on the back of the lot, hidden away in a clump of trees. It turned out to be a little toy cottage like something out of a fairy tale. Lydia showed up while I was still fumbling with the door.
I'm so glad you didn't go away. What'd my uncle tell you? Did he send you away?
You didn't have to push hard. I was ready to throw in my hand anyway.
But I need you. Don't you see I need you now more than ever?
I didn't contract to play ducks and drakes with a dead body, a muscle-bound butler, and an uncle who goes around saying goodbye.
But that's one of the reasons I need you. My father left me a huge fortune. My uncle's been trying for years to get his hands on it.
It gets even better. Next we'll be having poison in the highballs.
How do I know how far it'll go? Already he's tried to put me in an asylum.
Yeah. He was giving me that nervous talk about you.
Just that?
It's a job for the judge, baby.
All right. It's for the judge. And just stay and talk to me.
I don't know about that either.
Does it sound hard?
The last time we talked, someone else finished the sentences with a blackjack.
I can make better memories than that.
While we're in the files, how come the guy who slugged me knew so much about you?
Oh. His name's Post. They call him Two Spot. Do you have to talk about him?
I like lights when I'm ice skating.
Had it wait till morning? Don't answer. Maybe they'll go away.
Time to retire, Miss Lydia.
What do you mean, coming here?
Worried about your rescue list. The doctor...
Get out of here! You hear? Leave me alone!
Very well, miss, but the gentleman is leaving, and I thought maybe you'd like me to see you back to the house.
He isn't leaving. You are. You're fired!
The gentleman's leaving, miss. And now I'm on your payroll. The joint's full of guys giving orders. You want to walk out or stumble? Make up my mind for me.
Get out!
Doing all right while I stayed away from him. When he got in close, the show ended and the band went home. When I came to, the bump on my head was matching aches with my jaw.
You won that one the hard way, Novak.
Are you the prize? What are you talking about?
That dead body over there. You must be out for the limit tonight.
Oh, help me up. He's the butler. What happened to him?
He backed into a knife. It's illegal, you know.
The town's full of knives. Anybody could get it to him.
I don't see any crowd around. But you're here, ain't you?
Where's the dame?
Why did you kill him, Novak?
Yeah, of course. But where's the dame?
There's something going on around here that I'm not in on. You seem to know all the turns. Open up, and I'm not fooling.
You got the story straight, Hellman. After I left you, I came out here to see the dame Lydia Reynolds. We were in here, and the play was beginning to warm up when the butler knocked and tried to throw me out. I took a swing, and he swung harder. You woke me up. The girl must have done it.
Oh, Lydia Reynolds?
What do you think I'm talking about? Hitting Lamar?
You might as well be, Bub. This way, it's your word against $8 million.
It got even worse when we went after Lydia. Her uncle blocked us away from the door with a doctor looking over his shoulder. He said he followed the butler out to the guest house and caught Lydia as she ran out. He'd seen us fighting and started in to stop us when Lydia fainted. Then Hellman showed up with a stolen car. And Reynolds talked in a very positive voice, $8 million worth. It takes more than an inspector's badge to interrupt that kind of talk. Hellman took it all down in a little book. Then he took me into the Kearney Street station and booked me on suspicion of 2 murders and a car heist. He was happy and helpful. He even sent out and got Jocko Madigan to come to see me. Jocko was an ex-medico and a boozer, but he was the best friend I had in town. If sympathy was a crowbar, I'd have been out of the place in 10 minutes.
Patsy, my boy, I've never seen you look more at home.
Go away, Jocko. You bother me.
Endurance vile, there must you wake and weep, and all your frowsy couching sorrow steep, to paraphrase Bobby Burns.
Go away, my headache.
I've come to offer my aid. Anything I can do for you, Patsy, say it and it's done.
You can't help me, Jocko.
Oh, don't tell me you really did it this time.
No.
Then why are you worrying? Have you no faith in justice?
You can put together a deaf judge and a bought jury. You can...
As bad as that?
Go away, Jocko. Leave in your beer for me.
Oh, this isn't like you, Patsy Novak. I've called you everything in the way of being a disgraceful citizen, but I've always admired one thing about you. You were a fighter. You never quit fighting.
How do you fight $8 million with a perfect frame-up?
$8 million? Oh, there isn't that much money.
Try and sell it to Lydia Reynolds.
Oh, is she the one who built the frame?
No, it's even better than that. I don't know who did it or why.
Don't be mysterious, Patsy. I'm too old to play word games.
Look, Jocko, I was coming to ride in from Bay Meadows. Lydia picked me up. Then I was hijacked by a guy Lydia said could be two-spot post. Slugged and left with a dead body in Lydia's car. I went up to see her about it. The butler cooled me. When I came to, he's dead.
The girl must have a hard time keeping friends.
She wanted to hire me for a bodyguard. She said she was being threatened, but she couldn't put her finger on it.
That shouldn't be so hard. She starts out with $8 million worth of bait, so anybody might try for that.
Kind of veiled.
Who's this two-spot character? Anybody I know?
He's nobody we can use. I think Lydia dreamed him up.
Well, he might be worth looking up.
You're wasting your valuable drinking time, Jocko. You can't put your finger on a ghost.
Oh, you haven't had my experience with the little men, Patsy. So long, lover.
I sat there after Jocko left and tried to put together something I could use to tell my lawyer. I was still thinking it over when the guard came along and opened up my cage. When I got out to the desk, the sergeant told me Lydia had sprung me. She phoned in and said I couldn't have done it. She also fixed bail. I walked out of the place and started down toward Pier 19, but I didn't get far. A car pulled up. It was two-spot, and he still had his gun. I was tired of arguing, so I got in.
How do you like Los Angeles?
If I liked it, I'd live there.
It'll grow on you.
What's the caper post? You got a dream? Spread it out.
I got better than a dream, Novak. I got the best racket since Robin Hood.
Including dead bodies?
They make you nervous? My racket's better than that. I don't need you lousing up the act.
Now who's nervous?
I won't be long. I'm going to put you on a train for Los Angeles and give you $1,000. Stay down there till you spend it.
You're full of dreams.
Yeah, don't spend it too fast, Novak. If you come scampering back here before the month's out, you're liable to wind up looking at the inside of a luggage compartment. Like the private Dick did.
Oh, you know the guy, huh?
Here's the station. If you have any more questions, ask information. Remember, Novak, if you're tired of breathing, just show your face around town again before New Year's.
If I do, you'll be the first to know it. He followed me into the station and on the train. He stayed right by me until the thing started to pull out. Yeah, it was wonderful. I had $1,000, the name of the guy behind the killings, and a free ride to Palo Alto. When I got off the train down there, I phoned Hellman. He was as helpful as a fireman in a sorority house.
You're in Palo Alto? Good. Stay there.
Before you go out and arrest some more wrong suspects, maybe you'd like to know who did it.
You're full of news, Novak.
I guess you think you found him.
Am I calling for help?
You wouldn't know it if you needed help. The guy behind the caper is two-spot post.
Did you figure that out all by yourself?
Lydia said it might fit him, but I needed proof. I got it.
You haven't got the right time.
Yeah? What's wrong with two-spot having something on Lydia? Something that'd quiet her if he tried to kidnap Grab.
Are you trying to tell me how two-spot works? We've known the guy for years. He runs a bowling alley and makes a little horse book on the side. Kidnapping isn't his style.
Did you ever hear his style's changing?
He has a $50,000 bowling alley, the two-spot in O'Farrell Street. He's not going to risk that.
You're going to sit around on your fat hips and let Lydia be snatched while you check on the tax rate of a bowling alley.
I know who did it, right, boy?
I just told you.
Not unless he's put on a lot of weight.
Who is it?
You know everything, Novak. I wouldn't think of trying to steer you.
Did you know that the body in the car was a private detective?
Yeah, so was the butler. Don't worry so much about things.
Who was it, Hellman?
And have you loused up the act? We got the guy covered like a blanket. The next false move he makes will be on his last.
And two spots on the town.
I hear Palo Alto's a nice place. Now, you just stay down there and look it over.
I'm going to look just far enough to find a car.
Listen, Novak. I don't want you to come around putting your big feet in the trap. Now, stay out of this. I'm warning you.
You ought to get a refit on your place, Hellman. That sounded like you said you were warning me. took a taxi back to San Francisco. The price is easy if you have $1,000. We drove up to St. Francis Woods. Just as we were approaching the Reynolds place, I saw Lydia walking along the sidewalk. She was wrapped up in one of those long capes with a hood. She was walking in a hurry. When I caught up with her, she seemed glad, but she didn't slow down.
Come on, Patsy. Walk with me.
You running after something or something after you?
Something's after me, Patsy. I'm frightened.
You're full of half-talk. Don't you ever open up?
I saw a man, at least a shadow of a man, hiding near a corner of the guest house.
Some more of those fears?
This man was real, Patsy. He was waiting for me out there. I said they're closing in, and they are.
You don't want my help.
But I do. I need help desperately.
Why don't you give me something to work with? All I get out of you is talk about goose pimples.
Oh, I'm tired, Patsy. Awfully tired.
What you need's a drink. Come on downtown with me. I want to look up a friend of mine named Jocko Madigan.
Can't we go to a bar?
You don't know Jocko. We flagged a taxi and beat around town for a while. I finally located Jocko at a Market Street trap up near the Civic Center. The place ran all the way through to the next street. I didn't pay much attention with Lydia headed for the back of the place. The joint had the kind of lights that made a girl want to fix her makeup. I was looking around for Jocko, and it was only by accident that I noticed Lydia walk right past the powder room and out the rear door. I started after her, and I wondered why I should. I figured if that was some more of her half-talk, she could have it all herself. I'd had enough for one day. I turned back to Jocko.
In walked a dead duck.
I'm out of jail, so you're crying.
You're out a girl, too. I saw you watching her leave.
She's a restless type.
She dropped you like a leaf. Smart girl.
Her name's Lydia, the one I told you about. She sprung me out of jail.
Oh, I take back the part about her being smart.
I had 2-spot post bill for the part. Hellman says I'm crazy.
He could be right, you know. Why did you pull down your bets on post?
All I had to go on was the fact that he was anxious to keep me out of town for 2 weeks. I could need something was on the fire. I figured he was doing the cooking.
You know, Patsy, I'd like to talk to that Lydia person. There's something fishy in her past. I'd like to know what it is.
With $8 million, she could afford to be careless.
Oh, this is something special. 2-spot ties into it somehow, and then there's that uncle of hers.
Just naming him won't put him in jail.
Well, there's a lot of temptation when you have $8 million to manage for a young girl. Think of what you could do if it all became yours.
You can't arrest a guy because he's dough hungry.
You know, Patsy, a few months ago, Lydia used to run around occasionally with 2-spot. He had a little bowling alley out near her home, and she used to go there.
So she needed exercise.
Then suddenly 2-spot sells the little place and moves downtown to this super layout of his. Where do you think he got the money?
You just said they ran around together.
Well, it could be that, but what if it's something else?
Is that all you're going to work with?
Oh, don't be abrupt. New bowling alley has a guy called Sackhead as manager.
Well, good for him, and goodbye.
Oh, wait a minute. Sackhead used to be a pin boy in the old bowling alley. When he was sober enough to stand up, that is. Now he's manager. There must be a reason.
That's better. Let's go see Sackhead. When we reached the 2-spot alleys, the place was almost deserted. It was too late for the earnest bowlers and too early for the drunks. When I asked the bartender for the manager, he began to gulp air and turn white. I knew I couldn't get anything from him, so I looked around the place till I saw the door marked office. I started that way, but it was a short trip. The bouncer dropped a cigar on the floor and cut across my path fast.
Where you going, bud?
I don't need any help.
It's private. You can't go in there.
I just want to talk to Sackhead. Look that up in your rule book.
He don't want to talk. He's out to lunch anyway.
Let me find out these things myself.
Nobody goes in there, understand?
Everybody's throwing up stop signs tonight. I can't win all the time. Let's get out of here, Jocko.
What's all the hurry? I've got to finish my drink.
Come on, now.
Oh, not even one for the road.
Hold on, Novak. It's bad for your heart.
You're bad for me all over, Hellman.
I thought I told you to stay in Palo Alto.
While you two argue, I'll just go back and finish my drink.
Stay here, Madigan. Now, what's the fast getaway all about?
You can pick up your bets about Two-Spot not being the one.
Is he in there?
Yeah. Another night job.
Somebody must think it's still Thanksgiving.
Look, Patsy, I was sitting at the bar.
Quiet, Madigan. It's going to make it tough on you, Novak.
Not any tougher than that bouncer. He saw me go in.
If you weren't so busy being a wise guy, I tipped you off that Two-Spot was a cold trail.
Listen, Patsy.
All right, Hellman, come out from behind that veil. You knew who did it all the time. Now name them.
What's hard about that? Reynolds, of course.
What do you got for proof? Something out of a green book?
We checked up on those detectives who were killed. Reynolds hired them to work up a plan on Lydia. He wanted her jailed on suspicion of murder. That would give him control of the money, and if
he killed Two-Spot because he beat him bowling.
He hired Two-Spot and some of his boys to do the killing. If those dicks began to turn up dead, we could get Lydia on circumstantial evidence.
It's too bad you two didn't wait a while to be born. They're making a better grade of cement now. Your brain...
It adds up pretty good, Jocko. If the killings were only on circumstantial evidence, Lydia wouldn't get the chair. They'd probably give her 20 years, and Uncle could keep all of the family funds.
I'm going out now to pick up Reynolds. I'd like to see either of you try and come along.
Well, what would it be, Jocko?
A champagne highball.
Look, just because I'm buying...
guess who I saw when you were in Two-Spot's office?
A bottle of scotch.
Yes. No, I also saw Lydia.
Lydia?
She ran out the side door.
That could mean anything.
She's crazy, you know. I could see it in her eyes. Right then she was crazy.
You think she did it?
Oh, I hate to break up your and Hellman's dream, but a doctor's supposed to know insanity when he sees it. Also, there was blood on her hand. A doctor's supposed to be able to identify that, too, if he's had the
But
proper
she can't be
training.
crazy. I was talking to her.
Oh, it could come and go. Besides, she's probably at the stage where drugs can still keep her calmed down. I'll bet that's what Two-Spot had on her. She worked off the drug's effects while bowling, and something happened that Two-Spot witnessed. Maybe she killed a pinboy. That would fit. Sackhead seeing it, too.
Then she did all the killing.
Sure, and Two-Spot was covering for her to keep the money coming in. You can't blackmail an insane asylum, you know.
Come on, we better warn Hellman.
Warn Hellman? If we do that, the killer might get away.
Come on, Jocko. If Hellman gets killed, they might replace him with a cop with brains. We grabbed a taxi. $10 worth of persuasion made him forget the color of some of the stoplights, and we were out there in no time at all. Even before we were out of the cab, I knew it was too late. I could see the guest house lit up in its own flames. The trees around it looked like black skeletons dangling in a firelight. We started running across the lawn, but Reynolds cut us off.
It's no good, Novak. There's nothing we can do.
Is it Lydia?
Yes. We tried to get in, but she's barricaded herself in an inner room. The heat drove us away.
It's a hard way to die.
I'm sorry I had to lie about the butler's death, put you on the spot like that. I knew she killed him. I was hoping I could get her in an asylum.
She had a rough shuffle. With all that dough, all she could buy was a black ace.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. For 2 months, a depraved criminal has been at work in your city. Men and women have been robbed, brutally attacked. Your job, get 'em.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, March 7th. It was cloudy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way home from the office, and it was 2:25 a.m. when I got to Collis Avenue, number 4656.
Joseph? Is that you?
Yeah, Ma. Did I wake you?
Well, what time is it?
A little after 2.
Oh, you can't keep this up. You've got to have your rest.
Don't worry, I'm okay. We got any cold meat in the icebox?
There's some pressed ham, a few slices of bologna. Didn't you have any dinner?
A couple of hamburgers and a piece of pie. I got hungry again.
I had some nice beef stew for dinner. There's some left in the icebox. I'll come down and warm it for you.
No, all I want's a sandwich, Ma. You go on back to sleep.
You can't live on pie and sandwiches and keep up your strength. Working all hours, first thing you know, you'll be getting sick. You need your food and you need your rest. Nobody cares when you're sick.
You didn't have to get up, Ma. All I want's a sandwich. I can fix it.
You better have a bowl full of stew. Here, it'll take a minute to warm it up. Nice new potatoes in it. Some of those onions you like, too. White Bermudas.
Okay, not too much now. I'll get the milk.
It's 2:30 in the morning. What kept you so late again?
Another steakhouse, the same job.
Is that the murder in Highland Park?
No, Ma, the badge bandit. The one that poses as a policeman.
Oh, that one. You certainly ought to do something about him.
Yeah, well, we're trying to. We can't find him.
Now, there was a piece in the paper about it tonight. They say it's just terrible the way he beats up people and robs them.
Yeah.
Badge bandit. The way he treats women. Ought to be ashamed. They ought to put him away.
Yeah. You got some more rye bread?
Mm-hmm. Are you going to have tomorrow off, Joseph?
Thanks. No. The captain says we work straight through till we get the guy.
Oh. I thought you were going to have tomorrow off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you ought to tell the captain. You need your rest. You can't go on like this working all hours. You'll be coming down sick one of these days.
15 robberies, 15 assaults, all in 2 months. Somebody's got to stop them. Stew ready?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Okay. Well, can't they warn the people? They wouldn't be getting robbed and beaten up if they weren't parked in those lonely places. Spooning, so silly.
Yeah. I'm afraid we can't do anything about that, Ma. It's a public place. They got a right to park if they want.
Yeah, I suppose. Let me have your plate.
Okay, here. No, hold it. That's fine.
Another spoonful. You can't work if you don't eat.
Okay. It is good stew.
Yeah, sure it is. Butcher down the shop right tonight. His stewing beef's just wonderful.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Ben work late with you?
Yeah, his wife's sore, too. He hasn't been home much since we started on this. It's a tough one.
Oh, my. Well, times certainly have changed since I was a girl. All this robbing, beating up. Crazy people.
Yeah. Any mail today?
No, there's a couple of bills.
Well, you set the alarm. I got to check back in at 8 in the morning.
8 o'clock? Why so early?
Badge bandit's got 2 more victims tonight. They're college kids.
Oh.
Doctor said he didn't think we should talk to him tonight, so we'll have to see him tomorrow morning at the hospital.
Were they badly injured?
Well, pretty bad. The boy took a terrible beating. The girl was attacked, same as the others.
My.
Well, it's Very good, Ma. I better get to bed.
Yes, well, your face looks so thin. You need all the rest you can get.
I'll get it.
Now, who can that be? It's almost 3 in the morning.
Hello?
This is Lorman down homicide, Joe. Sorry to bother you.
Yeah, Lorman. What is it?
Captain wants you and Romero to meet him in Hollywood and Laurel right away.
What's the matter now?
Attack and hold up in Laurel Canyon 20 minutes ago.
Yeah?
Got the area blocked off. Figure they got the man trapped.
The victims get a look at the guy?
Same description, the badge bandit.
I left the house, went over and picked up Ben. We drove out to the edge of the Santa Monica Mountains where Hollywood Boulevard ends and Laurel Canyon begins. We headed back into the canyon to the blockaded area. Captain Steed from Homicide was there waiting for us.
Hi, Skip. Hiya. Just a minute. Taylor, call communications again. Have them tell the men out on Ventura to start moving in.
Right, Captain.
Sorry to call you back. Couldn't be helped.
Okay. How's it shaking up?
Wait a minute.
Search detail in vicinity of Laurel Canyon. Unit 62K reports that they are at Mulholland Drive and Oakstone Avenue. Nothing further to report.
Okay, what did you say, Joe?
So how's it shaping up?
Well, here's a sketch of the area. It covers just about all the Laurel Canyon district.
Yeah?
Badge bandit got his victims near the top of this hill here. Old man in the neighborhood heard a woman scream and phoned in.
How sure are we the guy didn't get away?
Well, the man who called in said the bandit had trouble starting his car. Finally left it and took off into the brush. He was headed west down this road here.
Captain, I just had a call from communications. The crew from Leighton Prince are on the way.
All right. Any report from the detail up on Canyon Road?
Nothing yet. I'll stand by the radio.
Okay.
How much area we got to cover?
Well, from the mouth of the canyon here, all the way back to Ventura Boulevard. On the west here, from Lookout Mountain Avenue over to Crestview Drive on the east.
How much have we got to go on?
Crowley talked to the victims for a minute before they took him to Georgia Street.
Yeah?
The guy's description's the same. Heavy set, blonde hair, chubby face, horn-rimmed glasses.
Well, if he's on foot, there's plenty of underbrush around here to hide in.
Just a minute, I want to get this call in first. Taylor, have communications contact 72K. Tell them to hold their line stationary.
Yeah. We'll
have the others close in from the west and the north.
Right.
You two better get up on Groveland Drive. Line's pretty thin up there. Olson will use the help.
Is that the area where you abandoned the car?
Yeah. I want you to cover all the houses in that area. Check with everybody you can find in the neighborhood. They may be able to help. If they don't answer, find out why.
Okay.
I'll be making the rounds in another 10 minutes. Check with you then.
All right, let's go, Joe.
One more thing.
Yes, sir?
I'll tell you what I told the rest of the men. This guy's in a corner, and he's got a gun. There's only one way out for him.
Yeah?
Make sure it's not you.
3:45 a.m. Ben and I drove up to Groveland Drive and joined the search. We started our house-to-house canvass of the neighborhood where the suspect had abandoned his car. None of the residents had any further information to give us. 4 a.m. We kept on checking.
23 hours. It's a long shift.
Yeah. I could use some sleep.
Wife of mine is boiling mad. She's even mad at the kid.
Yeah? What's the trouble?
Oh, aunt of hers sent down some flower bulbs from Oregon yesterday, gladiola bulbs.
Yeah.
Kid was playing with a little girl next door yesterday, and they found a box of flower bulbs. They put the mess of them in a pot of water and boiled them on the stove.
What'd they do that for?
Who knows?
There's another house up ahead. We better check it.
Yeah.
We ought to get some street lights up here.
Yeah. That's nice work, waking people up in the middle of the night.
Oh, I don't like it any more than they do.
Wish we could make them believe that. Nice neighborhood up here. Wonder what the price is on these lots.
Well, it shouldn't be too high. They say real estate's coming down.
Yeah, what is it?
Police officers. Sorry to disturb you. We'd like to talk to you a minute.
Oh, all right. Let me get the door open. What's been going on in the neighborhood tonight? Some kind of trouble? Cars racing up and down the hill? What's the trouble?
Have you noticed any strangers in the neighborhood last hour?
No, I just got to bed 20 minutes ago. I work out at Paramount. We're shooting nights. What's all the commotion anyway?
We're looking for a suspect. He's supposed to be around this area.
Well, I haven't seen anybody. I thought I heard somebody out by the garage a few minutes ago. Went out and looked around, but I didn't see anything.
Did you check to see if your car is still in the garage?
No, I left it in the driveway.
No, sir, there's no car in your driveway.
Sure there is. Let me show you. Hey, it's gone.
Can we use your phone?
Yeah. Yeah, but I saw it just a few minutes ago. The car was right there in the driveway. You think that guy took my car?
Yes, sir, it's a pretty good bet. You got your license number handy there?
I don't remember it. I got it on a card in my wallet.
Give me communication.
Can you give us a description of your car?
It's a Plymouth sedan, black, two-door sedan. With...
Search detail, Laurel Canyon. I got some new information for all units in the detail.
Here's the license number.
Thank you. Will you broadcast this information to all units in the search detail?
What was the make and model of your car?
46 black Plymouth, a two-door sedan.
1946 black Plymouth, two-door sedan, license number, let me see. 7 X-ray 2569. This car's just been stolen from 10211 Groveland Drive.
Any identifying marks on the car?
Well, I left my keys in it.
No, sir. I mean, any special markings on the car? Maybe a dent in one of the fenders?
Well,
yeah, George, hold on, we're getting it.
The right headlight went out on me last night. I haven't had it fixed yet.
The right headlight on the car's out. Notify all units in the search detail that we believe suspect is now in possession of this car. Right, thank you.
Let's go.
Must have happened in the last 15 minutes. I heard that noise and I went out to check. The car was there then.
Well, here's our card. We'll be checking with you later.
Yeah, I sure hope you find it. I don't know how I can get to work tomorrow without my car.
Yeah, we'll notify you.
Yeah, gee, I sure hope you find it.
Thanks for your help. Come on, Ben.
Repeat, 7 X-ray 2569. The car has just been stolen from 10211 Groveland Drive. The right headlight is out.
Oh, we got it.
Believed suspect is now in possession of this car. KMA 367.
I don't think he could have gotten that car through the blockade yet, you. Better start searching the side roads, huh?
Yeah. There's one. Leading off to the left, up ahead.
Okay, let's try it. Wait a minute. There's a car coming down the hill toward us.
Joe is making time. Joe, only one headlight on the car.
It's coming right at us. Turn around, quick. There's no room. Get over to the inside.
I can't. It's too late.
Ben, turn.
Hang on. We're going over.
Attention all units. Special attention all units in search detail in the vicinity of Laurel Canyon. 80K reports theft
Ben?
of a 1946
You all right?
Plymouth two-door sedan.
Ben.
In the 5 column.
An ambulance was called, and Ben and I were taken to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. There I received emergency treatment for multiple cuts and bruises and a sprained left shoulder. Ben didn't do so well. He had a possible concussion, 2 broken ribs, and a half a dozen severe cuts about the face and arms. We were then taken to the P&F ward. The next afternoon, we had a visit from Captain Steed and Chief Detective Thad Brown.
Friday, how you feeling?
Pretty good, Chief.
You saw Romero across the hall. You came out better than he did.
Yeah, that's what I hear. You resting any?
Oh, much better. No danger involved. Needs rest, that's about all.
How long?
Well, he'll be here 2 weeks, according to the doctor. What about you?
A couple of days.
Too bad, Joe.
Badge bandit?
Yeah. Looks like you two got banged up for nothing.
Oh?
After he rammed your car, he ditched the black Plymouth, and then we figure he hit with the underbrush.
Yeah?
Somehow, while we were hauling you and Ben out of that wreck, he slipped through the line.
Any fingerprints on the car?
None we could use.
It's rotten luck. I guess it was his night, huh?
We're getting more men from Metro Division to help out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doubling the number of decoys around the city.
Policewomen, huh?
And we'll have each of them planted in a parked car along with an officer in every area the badge bandit's been working. All he has to do is grab at the bait once.
Yeah, if he goes for it.
He'll have plenty of time to choose. We work the same setup every night till we reach him.
It's a big operation. Might have to run it for weeks unless he quits.
Well, there's only one way a guy like that ever quits.
Yeah.
When we stop him.
Saturday, March 10th, 2 p.m. I was released from the P&F ward and went home. Ben stayed on at the hospital. He had at least another 10 days to go before release. Sunday, I spent at home. Monday afternoon, I checked back in at the office, and Captain Steed put me on decoy duty for that week, along with policewoman Dorothy River. We were assigned to cover an isolated parking area near Mulholland Drive and Beverly Glen. It was a nice view, but the duty was slow. No sign of the badge bandit. Policewoman River and I waited it out from late evening to early morning, from Monday through Thursday. Friday night came. Same thing. We waited.
How's Ben? You see him today?
Yeah, he's doing fine. Be out next week.
Grouchy, I guess.
Oh, sure.
You want a cigarette?
Thank you.
You can sure tell it's Friday night.
Yeah.
Thanks. College kids are out in force.
Mm-hmm. What time you got?
1:45. Long nights.
Yeah, slow.
You cold?
No, are you?
Just a little. It's chilly up here in the early morning. What's that?
Car full of kids just pulling out.
Are the cars gone too?
Yeah. We're the only ones left.
These stakeouts get on your nerves.
So look, if you're cold, you can have my coat. It doesn't bother me.
No, it's all right, Joe. Thanks. It's a beautiful view from up here, isn't it? All the lights.
Yeah.
You like to dance, Joe?
What?
I said you like to dance.
Oh, once in a while, I guess. I'm not too good. Why?
Well, our club's having its big annual dance 2 weeks from Saturday.
Yeah?
Might get a kick out of it. It's formal.
Well, it leaves me out. I don't own a tux.
You could rent one. It'd be fun.
No, I'm afraid I don't look good in a tux.
I never met a man who thought he did. Why don't you try it?
I might be working.
Well, I mean, if you're not working, why don't you come?
You going?
Well, I was planning on it.
Got a date?
No, not yet. I have hopes.
There's a car pulling in. Let's see. Yeah, parked over in back of us.
I can only make out one person in the car.
Yeah, looks like a man. I can't be sure. All right, come on over closer. We might as well look the part, huh?
All right.
He's getting out of the car.
Is he coming this way?
Walking over to the side of the road. He's got a flashlight. Looking around.
He's built like the Badge Bandit. Short, heavy set.
Yeah, he's turning around. He's got his flashlight on us.
He's coming up on your side of the car.
All right, take it easy. You know what to do.
Come on, out of that car. Police officer.
All right, hold on.
Got a gun, Joe.
Yeah.
Come on, I said out of the car, both of you.
All right. All right, drop the gun. Drop it.
That's him.
Yeah.
Now I'll get the cuffs on him.
Thanks. I didn't think I hit him that hard.
You didn't, I did.
Policewoman Dorothy River and I took the suspect to Hollywood Division, where he was booked on suspicion of robbery. He gave his name as Charles Leon Kirby, age 46. Monday, March 19th, Ben was released from the hospital and checked back in for work. A special show-up was held at which 10 of the 17 victims definitely identified Kirby as the Badge Bandit. The suspect had finally been apprehended. Now we started the slow process of formally charging the man and presenting our evidence against him to bring him to trial. 10 a.m., Ben and I went across the street to the 6th floor of the Hall of Justice to present our case against Kirby and to obtain a formal complaint against him. We met with Deputy District Attorney Broker.
When'd you get out of the hospital, Ben?
This morning. Sure got sick of that place.
Heard about your accident. That guy sure gave you enough trouble, didn't he?
Yeah, he's still giving us trouble.
How's that?
He got in a tangle with another prisoner out in the Hollywood Division.
Yeah?
The other prisoner gave Kirby a pretty bad going over. Cut him up and broke his left forearm. They're moving him in an ambulance from Hollywood to the prison ward at the General Hospital.
When did this happen?
This morning. I think they're moving him downtown now.
Tough one. Now, how about your reports on Kirby? Are they all in order?
Well, here's a summary report. Alleges 10 positive identifications containing 10 counts of robbery and 10 counts of forcible rape.
All right.
And here are 7 other crime reports. Only partial identification on these.
Okay. What have you got for corroborating evidence against him?
Oh, we went through Kirby's apartment. Found at least a dozen pieces of property that he took from his victims. Mostly watches and jewelry. The victims identified every piece we found.
Okay, let me get the details on it. No. Excuse me a minute.
Sure.
Broker speaking. Yes, a minute. You, Friday.
Thank you. Friday. When? Yeah, right away. Well, that does it.
What's the matter?
Kirby. He just broke out of that ambulance.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of Mr. Richard Watts, Jr., drama critic of one of New York's great newspapers. This is his actual signed statement.
My working day starts when most people are going to bed. When the curtain closes on the last act, I've got a newspaper deadline to make. Working more means smoking more. And that's when Fatima quality really tells. I agree. It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And so do more and more smokers every day. Actual figures show Extra Mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy Extra Mild Fatima yourself.
The king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke Extra Mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke Extra Mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
As soon as word of Kirby's escape came through, the information was broadcast to all points. All available cruiser cars and men were rushed to the escape area, and a door-to-door canvass got underway. All of the men were given mug shots of Kirby together with his description. 11 a.m., Ben and I got back to the office. We found a message from Captain Steed to meet him in the chief of detective's office.
No man in that area until further notice. Check the bus depots and the Union Station. Right.
What's the story, Chief?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Where do you make the break?
Near 4th and Main. Couldn't have picked a better spot.
The ambulance had just crossed 3rd and Main when Kirby slugged the guard. The driver was too busy dodging traffic to notice what was going on in back.
That's a lousy break.
Kirby jumped out of the back end of the ambulance and disappeared in the crowd. No sign of him since.
Well, that's fine. Takes us almost 3 months to reach the guy, and he breaks away on a cheap fluke like that.
Well, he doesn't have many friends in town. He's only got one we know of.
Yeah.
A brother. Kirby stays with him pretty often from what we could gather. His brother lives in a rooming house down on Alameda.
Anybody checked that yet?
We've got it staked out.
And the brother works at a box factory in the south end of town. That's covered, too.
And he's not going far with a broken arm.
What have you got?
Pawn shop pulled up 6th Street. Happened a few minutes ago.
Yeah?
Here's the description of the holdup, man.
Stocky build, blonde hair, horn-rimmed glasses, chubby face.
You were wrong about that broken arm. Come on. 11:20 a.m. Ben and I pulled up at the East Asia pawn shop on 6th Street. Inside, we found the proprietor, Morris Brubaker, lying propped up against one of the showcases. He was an elderly man. His face and head showed the marks of a savage beating. His wounds were hemorrhaging badly, and ambulance attendants were giving him first aid. We showed him Charles Kirby's mugshot.
That's the man. I wouldn't make a mistake. That's him.
Was he alone, Mr. Brubaker?
Yes, by himself. He has to look at a watch, and when I turned to get it, he kicked me. I fell against the showcase and cut myself. He pulled me in the back room. I didn't even know him. He kept beating me. Easy, Mr. Brubaker. Let me get this conference on.
How much did he get away with, do you know?
I'm not sure. Blue suit, blue overcoat, wraparound, and navy blue both. He kept hitting me.
All right, sir, just take it easy. They'll have you out of here in a minute.
He kept hitting me like a crazy man. This is antiseptic. Might sting a little. Okay.
What else did he take, Mr. Brubaker? Can you remember?
Yes, from the cash register, he took money.
How much?
$13, $40, I can't be sure.
When he left your store, did you see which way he was going?
No, he dragged me in the back room. He locked me in. Ready to move now, Sergeant?
Okay.
I don't know. I saw him going through the shelves there in the back of the counter. I don't know.
What'd you keep there?
My account books and my gun, a box of shells, too.
You want to take a look, Ben?
Well,
my head.
Yes, sir. Just take it easy. It's only going to be a minute now.
the account books are still there.
Yeah?
He got the gun.
4 p.m. Kirby, alias the Badge Bandit, was still at large. As far as we were concerned, the case was almost back to where it started from 11 weeks before. The suspect was still loose. He was well armed. He was still free to rob, assault, or murder. We had two big advantages. Kirby's possible broken arm, which would need medical attention, and secondly, the lead to Kirby's brother. At 5:30 p.m., we had a report that the suspect was seen purchasing a ticket at a theater box office out on Hollywood Boulevard. We ran it down. It didn't pay off. At 6:15, a taxi driver thought he spotted Kirby boarding an outbound streetcar at Figaro and Pico. It was checked out. No results. At 7 o'clock, Ben and I got something to eat at a drive-in, and we relieved the men on stakeout at the rooming house on Alameda Street where Kirby's brother was staying. 10 p.m. Midnight. No sign of Kirby. We waited. At 3 a.m., Hanson and Cummings of Homicide relieved us, and Ben drove me home. It was 3:45 when he dropped me off at Collis Avenue, number 4656.
Joseph, that you?
Yeah, Ma, I didn't mean to wake you.
What time is it?
Almost 4.
Oh, my. These late hours, you've got to get your rest, Joseph.
We'll be all right, Ma. Got something to eat in the icebox?
There's a little cold meat and some cheese in the cupboard.
Just want a sandwich. You go on back to sleep.
I had some nice meatballs and spaghetti for dinner. I can warm some for you. My, time sandwiches working all hours. You just get sick, Joseph, and you'll see nobody cares about you when you're sick.
I wish you wouldn't get up, Ma. I can fix something.
Well, warm up the meatballs and spaghetti. You need something substantial.
I get it.
4 a.m. I hope it's not that office calling.
Hello?
Lorman down homicide.
Yeah, Lorman.
Thought you'd like to know they just got Kirby.
Where?
At his brother's place about 15 minutes ago. Hanson and Cummings grabbed him.
Any trouble?
No, grabbed him before he got to his gun. We just locked him up. Thought you'd like to know.
Yeah. Thanks, Lorman.
Night.
All right.
Well, that wasn't Joseph.
The office, Ma. They got Kirby, the badge bandit.
Oh, did they? Well, that's nice. Maybe you'll have some time off now.
Yeah. Never fails, does it? You work on a case for 3 months. Leave it for 30 minutes and it's all over.
Well, the food's warm. Is there anything else you want?
No, that's fine, Ma. You go on to bed.
Yeah. Well, all right, Joseph. Now, don't stay up too long.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Hey, Ma.
Yes, Joseph?
Have I still got that old tuxedo around?
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 27th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to extra mild Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Extra Mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the king-size cigarette that is extra mild.
Extra mild because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give it a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. The best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Charles Leon Kirby, alias the Badge Bandit, was tried and convicted in Superior Court on several counts of armed robbery, rape, and assault with intent to commit murder. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. After serving 1 year in the state penitentiary, he was judged insane and committed to the state mental hospital at Mendocino. After 2 months there, he escaped. Charles Kirby, alias the Badge Bandit, is still at large. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Juvenile Bureau. A potential killer roams the halls of one of the high schools in your city. Girl students have been brutally slashed by the criminal. Your job, stop him.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, November 4th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Georgia Street Juvenile Bureau. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Bowling, Commander, Juvenile Division. My name's Friday. It was 2:45 p.m. when we got to Charter High School. Main entrance.
Which way, Joe?
I don't know. We can ask this boy. Hey, son.
Yeah?
Where's the principal's office?
Straight down the hall. Last door on the left.
Thank you.
What's all the noise about?
Football rally. We're playing Piedmont today. Probably lose.
Can't beat confidence like that. Kids are sure funny nowadays.
Yeah. Check that sign.
Mm-hmm. Junior prom. $1.25 per couple.
Makes you feel old, doesn't it?
I never did go to those high school dances.
How come?
Couldn't dance. Wife says I still can.
Yes, sir?
Like to see Mr. Chase?
Could I have your names, please?
Romero and Friday.
Oh, yes, he's expecting you. You can go right in. That door.
Thank you, miss.
Mr. Chase?
Yes?
My name's Friday. I talked to you on the phone.
Oh, yes, certainly, Sergeant. Have a chair.
Thank you. This is my partner, Ben Romero.
How do you do, sir?
How are you, Mr. Chase?
Sit down. Certainly glad to see you, gentlemen. I'm at the end of my rope.
Would you mind briefing us, Mr. Chase? How did all this trouble start?
I don't know how it started. I don't know why. But here's the result, Sergeant. This dress, bloodstains on it.
Mm-hmm. What's the story?
A woman stormed in here and said her daughter came home from school yesterday wearing this dress. She told her mother she'd been knifed here at the school.
Mm-hmm. How many cases like this have you had?
21 in the past 3 weeks.
Why didn't you notify us?
Believe me, Sergeant, I didn't know which way to turn. When I first learned about these knifings, I wanted to call in the police, but some of the girls who'd been cut, the parents didn't want it reported. The publicity, the notoriety, they didn't want it.
Hope you realize, Mr. Chase, that it's a pretty serious business.
Believe me, I did realize. What could I do? The knifings had to be stopped. The parents didn't want them reported. I've tried everything humanly possible to find out who's responsible.
What have you tried, Mr. Chase?
Well, I called on some of the older students from the Boys' Council. I placed them all over the grounds of the buildings and told them to keep an eye out.
No results, huh?
The knifings have gone right on. This past week, they've even gotten worse. Oh, that reminds me. Just a moment, please.
Yes, Mr. Chase?
Doris, would you get Jim Travers, please? Have him come to my office right away.
Yes, Mr. Chase.
Travers is head of the Boys' Council. He helped organize the system of guards. He might be able to give you some information.
You said a minute ago that the situation has been worse this past week. You mean the knifings have gotten more frequent?
More frequent and more serious. One girl was cut very badly this morning. She had to be sent home.
Are most of these girls cut in pretty much the same manner?
The school nurse treated some of them. She says it looked to her as though the girls had been slashed with a very sharp knife, probably a razor.
Is there any definite time pattern to these knifings?
All of them happen between periods, when the students change classes. The corridors are pretty well crowded, and that's why it's so difficult to pin it down to any one person.
I see. How about the victims themselves, Mr. Chase? Is there any set pattern there?
That's what has me frightened.
How do you mean?
Most of the victims are rather pretty girls. Whoever's doing this seems to have a preference for them. It's frightening when you think of what kind of mind the person must have.
It's a little more than frightening, Mr. Chase.
Huh?
The person with a knife must be a mental case, probably a dangerous one. I don't think he's going to be satisfied with just knifing the girls.
Killing?
Possible if we let it go much longer.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Chase?
Come in, Jim.
I would have come sooner. I was tied up with a rally committee.
Jim, this is Sergeant Friday and Sergeant Romero, police officers.
Right, Jim.
They're here to investigate the knifings. I thought maybe you'd be able to help out with some information.
Well, I still have the fellows on the council watching the corridors. We haven't seen anything yet.
Will you have any time after the rally, Jim? We'd like to have you show us around.
Okay, Sergeant.
Is the school nurse still in her office? I'd like to talk to her, too.
I think so. Jim, when does Miss Wesley go home?
3:30 on Thursday, Mr. Chase. I'll tell her to stay on a few minutes.
That's fine. We'll meet you outside the office here. Huh?
Okay, I'll see you later then.
Right.
The school out for the day?
Yes, it is.
Guess we'll have to wait till morning to interview the victims.
The first class is at 8 o'clock. I'll have the girls assemble in the classroom next to my office.
All right, Mr. Chase. Thank you.
I'll be right back, Doris. See you gentlemen out.
Looks like the rally's just breaking up, huh?
3 o'clock now. The game's at 3:30.
The kids certainly jam up the corridor.
Come on.
Let us through here. Let us through, please. All right. The rest of you go about your business. Go on now.
What's the matter, young lady? What's the trouble?
Patty Larson, she's fainted.
What's the matter with her?
Look at her dress. It's covered with blood.
An ambulance was called, and the injured girl was taken to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, where she was treated for a cut on her right forearm and a deep slash across her hips. She was not in serious condition. It was the doctor's opinion that the wounds had been inflicted either by a very sharp knife or more probably a razor. A detail of plainclothesmen were dispatched to Charter High School to keep the grounds and quarters under strict surveillance until further notice. At 7:30 the next morning, policewoman Lorraine Jensen, Ben and I met at the high school with Principal Chase and Jim Travers, the head of the boys' council. By 9 a.m., all of the 21 knifing victims were assembled in one of the empty classrooms. Policewoman Jensen outlined our plan of questioning.
May I have your attention, please? This isn't going to take very long, girls, but I will have to ask you to cooperate with us. Try to remember every detail of the time and the place that the knifings occurred. Do you all have a report form to write on?
Yeah, they're all set.
We'd like to have you write 3 things. First, exactly where you were when you were injured. After that, write the date and the time. Make that just as close as you can remember.
I don't remember, do you? I don't know what to write.
At the bottom of the page, write the name of the person you suspect might have cut you. Your answer will be kept confidential. Please don't compare notes with the girl next to you. We want your version, not your neighbor's.
Sergeant.
Yes, Travis?
5-minute warning bell.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, Joe.
There's a recess coming up. We want to check the quarters. Can you make out alone for a little while?
Sure, you two go ahead. We can check the slips when you get back.
Right, let's go then.
Yeah.
Top of the stairs is best, Sergeant.
Okay.
If you stand back a little from the railing, no one down below can tell if they're being watched either.
Okay.
I'm pretty much interested in police work. You know, the lie detector and stuff.
Uh-huh. Will you keep on going here?
One more flight.
All right.
I wrote a paper once on the lie detector for our physiology class. The teacher liked it.
That's so.
Yeah. I've been reading how they take fingerprints, cloth imprints, and all that. Pretty interesting. Here we are. We can keep an eye on the whole corridor from here.
Okay.
What detail do you officers work out of?
Georgia Street Juvenile.
You know Lee Jones or Ray Pinker?
Oh, yeah.
I've read a lot about the crime lab.
Why don't you come downtown some afternoon? We'll show you around.
That'd be swell.
Okay.
Must be interesting, meeting all kinds of people, watching how they behave, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. During the recess, while the students moved from classroom to classroom, we kept the main quarter under close surveillance. The other men from Juvenile Bureau covered the rest of the quarters. We kept an eye on the main quarter during the third recess between periods at 11 a.m. Again, no results. At 11:30, Travers went to check with the members of the boys' council to set up the noontime watch. Ben and I went back to the classroom on the main floor to check with policewoman Jensen. We helped her tally the results of the questioning of the girl victims that morning.
Let's see, 17, 18, 19. Well, that takes care of the lot.
Let's see.
There it is. Now what's it mean?
Well, 12 say they were knifed on the main corridor, 3 knifed outside the building, 4 on the stairway, 2 in a classroom.
The times they list. Doesn't look like there's any pattern there.
How about the suspects that they wrote down?
That's even got me beat. We've got more of them than we have victims. Here. There's 4 pages of names. Some of the girls wrote down as many as 5 suspects.
That's going to help a lot.
How many altogether?
Let's see. 34.
Oh, hi, Mr. J.
you find out anything?
Well, it didn't turn out too well. Nothing definite.
Terrible morning. Parents calling up newspapers. I don't know. Certainly out of my hands.
Are there any assemblies scheduled for this afternoon?
Yes, after the 5th period. Why?
Well, I think maybe you better cancel it. Seems like every time the kids are crowded together, we just ask for trouble.
All right, I'll have it canceled.
Fine. Something else, Mr. Case.
Yes?
The girls that we had in this room this morning, the victims, we'd like to have every one of them brought back here after the next class, can we?
All right, Sergeant. I'll have excuse slips sent to each one.
Thank you, sir.
Gives you the chills. Those kids getting cut up in broad daylight.
Whoever it is, the guy's got a stomach for it.
How do you know it's a guy?
It's as good a guess as any. How about the school employees, the janitors, and the rest of them?
Checked them all out this morning.
When we get the girls back here, we'll go through the same routine. One thing we missed the last time we talked to them.
Yeah?
We asked them to pick suspects. We might have more luck if we have a bigger choice.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, instead of asking them to pick out somebody, we'll tell them to list the names of every person who was around them or near them when they were cut.
It might work if we can spot a couple of repeats on the list.
Sergeant, they want you downstairs. Hurry.
Come on, Ben.
What's the matter?
It's terrible, terrible. I found her.
You found who?
Betty Price.
Where?
Downstairs, unconscious. I'm afraid.
What do you mean you're afraid?
I'm not sure she's alive.
We located the unconscious girl in a corner of the basement near the rear entrance to the girls' locker room. She'd been cut severely about the face and arms. At Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, she was given an immediate blood transfusion. In addition to her wounds, she was also treated for shock. We questioned the victim. She stated that she did not see the person who attacked her. Later that afternoon, she was removed to her own home upon the advice of her family physician. 1:35 p.m. Ben and I got back to the high school and checked in with policewoman Lorraine Jensen.
How'd the last session turn out, Lorraine?
A lot better. It was a good idea, Joe.
Yeah? How'd we come out?
Pretty good. Yeah, the list they made out. 21 of them.
Uh-huh.
Each girl listed an average of 8 persons around her at the time she was knifed.
Yeah?
There's one name that occurs on 19 of these 21 lists. Here, Joe.
Jim Travers.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation, presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of Mr. Frank Fenton, well-known author and Hollywood screenwriter. This is his actual signed statement.
When a writer gets absorbed in his work, he loses track of time, smokes more than usual. And this happens often to me. As a result, I appreciate a mild cigarette. Fatima is extra mild. I agree it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And so do more and more smokers every day. Actual figures show extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
Friday, November 5th, 1:45 p.m. Ben and I started checking on Jim Travers. In the registrar's files, he was listed as James Kirkland Travers, 17 years old. He was a well-known, popular student. He was a fine athlete. He was from a well-to-do family. His father was the head of an engineering firm. His mother was from one of the oldest families in the city. During his 3.5 years at Charter High, Jim Travers had maintained close to an A average in his studies. He'd been president of his class since freshman year, and he'd held numerous other class offices. We interviewed his teachers. They had nothing but praise for Travers. They tabbed him as a brilliant young man with an excellent future. We asked about Travers' friends, who he palled around with. We picked up a small lead. We were told that he had very few, if any, close personal friends among the students, but he did have one girl at the high school he was especially fond of. Her name was Barbara Ferris, a tall, dark-haired girl, exceptionally pretty. Her scholastic record was almost as high as Travers. 2 p.m. Policewoman Lorraine Jensen and I interviewed the girl in a small room off the principal's office.
We're not singling you out, Barbara. We're interviewing most of the girls in the upper classes.
You mean about what's been happening around school?
Yes, that's right.
Well, I don't know much about it. I was talking to Jim Travers last night. He's a friend of mine. He told me while you were here.
How long have you known Jim Travers, Barbara?
Oh, since freshman year, I guess.
Mm-hmm. You go steady with him?
Well, we don't like to call it that, but I guess so. We go to the dances together. Sometimes we go to the show on weekends.
Do you go out with him very often?
No, not very often. Jim's usually pretty busy. He studies a lot.
Does he go out with other girls, do you know?
Well, no, I don't. Once he went out with Betty Fisher. He said he didn't like her much. Betty's kind of a party girl. Jim likes to talk about things. You know, physiology, books, stuff like that.
Do you get along with him pretty well?
We get along fine. Sometimes he's moody, but I guess I am too.
Could you tell us a little more about Jim? What's he like?
Well, what do you want to know that for? Is there anything wrong?
No, it's just routine questioning, Barbara. We have to check on everybody.
Oh, I see. Well, Jim's certainly all right. He's like the rest of the fellows at school, I guess. Only he's smarter than most of them.
Well, is there anything maybe that's odd about him that you noticed? Anything very different?
No, not that I've noticed. He's always been pretty bashful, up until this last year anyway. He's still that way sometimes when we go out on dates.
How do you mean? How is he bashful?
You know, about girls and things. He's always nice, though. He's not always thinking about necking and stuff like most of them.
You mean he's not the romantic type?
Well, he can be romantic when he wants to. Once we parked outside my house after a dance. He's always nice. It was just this one time.
What was that?
Well, he kissed me, and then he twisted my arm behind my back. He kept twisting it for no reason.
Yeah?
I told him it hurt me, but he wouldn't let go. He kept twisting my arm.
What did he say?
That's what was so funny. He said, I like you better than any girl I know.
Yeah?
Then he said, that's why I'm hurting you.
After talking with Barbara Ferris, we had a pretty good idea that Jim Travers was the suspect we wanted. But because of his fine background and his record, we realized that we'd have to prove beyond any question of a doubt that he was the guilty person. We had only one thing to go on besides the information Barbara Ferris had given us. During the morning recesses, when Travers was with Ben and I was watching the corridors, not one knifing took place. When we had left Travers and gone downstairs to check with policewoman Jensen, the girl had been found slugged and cut at the rear of the girls' locker room. 2:30 p.m., Ben and I met with the suspect.
How's it going, Sergeant? Any luck?
Not much, Jim. What's that, another rally?
No, a band practice.
Junior prom's tonight, isn't it?
Yeah. You talked to the girl who was knifed downstairs, huh? Find out anything?
No, not much. You want to stick with us this afternoon? I think you might be able to help us out.
Sure. I've got the fellows on the council standing by if you want them.
Fine. Let's go outside, huh? Got something to tell you.
Sure, okay. We can go out this way. I certainly appreciate your letting me tag along. Hope I can help you.
I think you can, Jim. So when we talked to those girls this morning, we drew up a new list of possible suspects.
Yeah?
Funny thing, one of the names on the list was yours.
Well, I've got nothing to hide.
Well, we'll make a systematic check of each name on the list and start with yours.
Well, will we have to go on the lie detector? I'd like to try that. I never saw one. Only pictures of it.
No, you won't have to go through that. It'll just be a couple of questions, and then we're going to check your locker.
Okay, I'd be glad to show you.
Does this take us to the locker room?
Yeah, we can cut through here.
Say, when we were questioning those girls this morning, some of them said that they saw you in different parts of the building when the knifings took place.
What do you mean?
Well, your location didn't exactly jibe with your classroom schedule. In other words, your class was on the third floor, but you were seen down in the main corridor. Now, how do you account for that?
Well, you see, I usually take walks between periods. Sitting in classrooms makes me nervous sometimes, you know.
Uh-huh.
Here, I'll get the door.
All right.
Any other questions I can answer, Sergeant?
No, that's all.
How'd you happen to get interested in police work, Jim? You said your father was an engineer, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. I don't know how I got into it. I just took to it, I guess. I always liked to watch people's reactions and their behavior. Fascinating. The locker room's down this way.
Okay. What are you planning on doing when you graduate? College?
Yeah, I guess so. Dad wants to send me to MIT.
It's a good school.
Yeah. Say, if you ever have the time, I'd sure like to see some of the ballistics equipment down at the police crime lab. I've read up on ballistics quite a bit, too.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. The polygraph and lie detector. That's my favorite, though. Wonderful machine.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine charting positive and negative reactions like that. It's marvelous.
Yeah, it is.
Say, have either one of you ever read Dawson's treatise? I think it's called The Psychology of the Criminal Mind. You ever read it?
I think we had that in training, didn't we, Ben?
Something like that, yeah.
How about Criminal Behavior and Its Basis, Maxwell's book? Did you ever read that one?
No, I don't think I did.
It's a great book. I got quite a few textbooks on crime. There's one on sex crimes I just got. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Is this the locker room?
Yeah, I almost went past it. My lock is down this way.
How do you shave, Jim? You use an electric razor or a safety razor?
Me? Electric razor. They're the best.
Yeah, they're a lot easier to use.
Here it is. I'll open it for you.
All right. Ben, you got those envelopes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there.
Okay, would you step aside there, Jim?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we'll get some dust scrapings from the shelf here. All right, there you are, Ben. You want to mark it?
No. Jim Travers, dust scrapings from locker.
All right. Let's see here. Here's some more scrapings from the bottom of the locker this time. Huh?
Okay, I'll seal these envelopes. Oh, here's a nail file.
Okay, Jim. Now, will you hold out your right hand?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Hold an envelope under his hand, will you, Ben? Catch the nail scrapings.
Yep. Okay, well.
Say, what's all this for, Sergeant?
Oh, it's just routine with everybody, Jim. Just gonna take some sample specimens to run through the spectrograph.
Spectrograph?
Mm-hmm. Now, let me scrape that middle fingernail a little.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Now the index finger.
What about the spectrograph?
We use it all the time.
Well, it won't work in a case like this, will it?
All right, that's all for the right hand, Ben. Don't forget to mark the envelope.
Yep. Some Jim Travers scrapings from fingernails of right hand. There we go.
All right, now the left hand, Jim.
Yeah.
No, we don't know if this is going to work or not. It's worth a try. We'll know this afternoon.
This afternoon?
Yeah. We'll have to run you through on the machine. Hold the envelope a little closer there.
Yeah. Well, how's it going to help you?
It might tell us what you had for breakfast a week ago. It might tell us what kind of clothes you wore 3 days ago. The kind of objects you came in contact with.
Oh. Well, what kind of principle does it operate on?
Oh, I don't know. We can ask Lee Jones. Here, let me get the scrapings from your thumb. All right, there it is. Now seal it and mark it, Ben. You want to call the office and tell them we're on our way in?
Yeah, I'll be in that room right next to the principal's office.
Okay. You can close your locker, Jim. That's all.
Yeah, all right.
We'll check the things in your pockets when we get to the crime lab. Let's go.
That spectrograph must be a marvelous machine.
Well, it's worked for us a lot of times. We've got evidence on the suspect that either convicts him or clears him. You'll probably get a kick out of it.
I'd like to see it. You say it tells you everything a person's come in contact with, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Could it tell you how I shave?
Well, how do you mean?
I mean, with an electric razor or a safety razor.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's one of the primary things. I don't know exactly how it works, but it does the job. We'll get Lee Jones to explain it to us.
Out this door. We can cut across the courtyard.
Oh, those are sure nice grounds.
Will they keep me long downtown, Sergeant?
What do you think, Jim? You know, the strange part about these knifings out here.
What's that?
Whoever's responsible probably doesn't even realize what he's doing.
Yeah.
Mentally, he's sick. He's very sick. Best thing for him would be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Just like any other sickness, it's not going to get better by itself.
Yeah.
The only trouble is he's just getting his appetite up with these knifings. Now, if he goes much longer...
How about that spectrograph, Sergeant? Say, for instance, well, if I happen to hold a knife in my hand or maybe a razor...
Oh, yeah, that is showing the machine. We go in here?
Yeah, It's a terrible thing. Whoever it is, terrible thing.
Yes, it is. In here, Jim.
I think he's ready to tell us.
Hope so. I expect the girl won't.
All right, son, you want to tell us about it now?
I couldn't help myself. I had to do it. I had to. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't study unless I did it. I couldn't help myself.
You're responsible for all the knifings, are you?
You knew, didn't you? Who told you?
You told us, dear.
I'm glad you caught me. It was getting worse. Might have been too late. I'm glad you caught me.
Why?
Barbara. After the prom tonight,
yeah,
I was going to kill her.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 15th, the hearing was held in Juvenile Court, Department 38, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to extra mild Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Extra Mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the king-size cigarette that is extra mild.
Extra mild because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give it a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
17-year-old James Travers was examined by court psychiatrists who found him to be one of the most dangerous mental cases they had ever examined. The boy's parents, who cooperated to the fullest with the police officers and with the court, made only one request, that the boy be committed to a private sanitarium. James Travers is now under confinement at that sanitarium for an indefinite period of time. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Screen Directors Playhouse presents a Damon Runyon story tomorrow on NBC.